Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka.
He hits him straight down the ground. That'll be 6.
Beautifully driven, the off drive, back down the ground for 4.
Bowles, struck on the pad, that looked plumb. He's been given.
On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
It's a gorgeous evening in the nation's capital. Welcome to Manuka Oval for Game 3 of this 5-game 2020 series. And tonight, the reigning world champions Australia looking to seal this series against Sri Lanka after 2 wins in Sydney. And if we get a finish half as exciting as Sunday's Super Over at the SCG, we should be in for a good night of cricket. Nice to have you along on ABC Sport. My name is Quentin Hull. I'll be here along with Matt Clinch, Dirk Nannes and Stuart Clark to bring you this third of 5 games between the Australians and the Sri Lankans. Before the rest of the team get into action here, let's get to the middle with the all-important news from the toss.
Welcome to the third T20 International. Beautiful afternoon here in Canberra. The 2 captains, Aaron Finch and Darcy Shanaka, are here with me, and David Boone, the match referee. Finch has got the coin.
We'll have a bowl, buddy.
Aaron's won the toss for the first time. What are you doing, Skipper?
We're going to have a bowl, mate.
Changes. What's happening?
We've got 3 changes. Obviously, Steve with his concussions out. Paddy Cummins is rested, and so is Adam Zampa. So Ashton Agar gets an opportunity along with Mitchell Starks back in the side and Daniel Sams.
Tell us about Steve Smith. Obviously, an incredible performance on the boundary. We're all concerned about him. How's he going?
Yeah, he's a little bit better today. Obviously, he'll still have some concussion symptoms for a couple of days at least. So, yeah, hope he's feeling a bit better. And we know he's not a great cricket watcher. He'll be still sitting on the couch watching it, though, I'm sure.
And why the decision to bowl?
Oh, it can dew up a little bit here at night. The wicket looks really nice, so I don't think that'll change at all.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
So Aaron Finch has won the toss. He's elected to bowl. Darcy Shanaka is with us. Nice to see you again, Darcy. Changes again to your side due to COVID. Disappointing.
Yeah,
What's
very
happening?
Unfortunate, but we are lucky. Jeffrey Vandersay is here with us, so that's okay for us.
So Hasaranga is out of the side.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you thought the other night. A really, really competitive performance. You were that close to winning. It must have given the whole group a real lift.
Yeah, it should have given a real lift for us, but unfortunately we lose last night. We played real good cricket, so I think it's our game. So we'll come up with better one here.
Good luck tonight.
Thanks.
So the news from the middle that Aaron Finch has won the toss. He is elected to bowl.
And that's the formula that served Australia so well in the Emirates on the way to lifting the T20 World Cup for the first time. I'll repeat the teams for you. For Australia, Finch, McDermott, Inglis, Maxwell, no Smith from that batting order after that amazing leap on the boundary rope, which knocked him senseless, literally, and he is out for the rest of this series in precautionary terms. Stoinis and Wade are going to be joined in that middle order by the bowling all-rounders of Daniel Sams and Ashton Agar. Mitchell Stark didn't play in the second game. He is back in. And Josh Hazlewood and Kane Richardson completes the Australian pace attack, with Pat Cummins having a night off. Interestingly, along with Adam Zampa, who has been such a cornerstone of Australia's success in T20 cricket of recent times. For Sri Lanka, it's Patam Nisanka, Dashunka Gunatilaka, Charith Asalanka, Dustin Shanaka, the captain. Dinesh Chandimal remains behind the stumps. Chamika Kunaratna, Jasmanta Chamira, Mahesh Tekshana, Nuwan Tashara, and the 2 new players, Kusal Mendes, the hard-hitting batter, and Jeffrey Vandersay, the leg break bowler, who's coming in for his 11th T20 International. So Noah Vishka Fernando tonight. And the man who is going to play for Royal Challengers Bangalore for the hefty price tag of $2 million, Waindu Hasaranga, has got COVID, unfortunately, and we won't get to see him in Canberra tonight. But it's great to be alongside 2 former Australian internationals to give us their expert thoughts on the night. First and foremost, Dirk Nannes and Stuart Clark. Hasn't the nation's capital just put on its evening dress this evening? What a beautiful sight we have.
Yeah, it looks like good evening, everybody. It's
Sydney's
beautiful.
rain. Get out of town. This is fantastic.
It was warm. The sun was a light breeze blowing across the ground queue, and it's a lovely, it's a lovely evening down here in Canberra, and we're looking forward to a cracking game of cricket.
Makes you wonder why there isn't more cricket here in some way, shape or form. It's always putting on such a show. What a beautiful evening.
Actually,
tonight.
The last couple of times I've been here, it's been like this. It's always this time of year. It's a nice place to be. It can get bitterly cold in the winter, but we're not in the winter. We're in the summer. And look, Sri Lanka, they've been good in patches, and we saw the other night They almost got themselves over the line. And they got to the line and then didn't quite get across it in that super over, did they?
If you aren't aware, the two games have gone like this. Australia's batted first on both occasions. They made 149 in the first game on Friday, and there was rain about. It was a 19-over chase, and Sri Lanka fell 20 runs short, 8 down. With, again, Hazlewood and Zampa outstanding with the ball, 4 wickets and 3 wickets respectively in that first game. And then again, it was Hazlewood with 3 wickets in Sri Lanka's chase, trying to get to 165 to win. They got 164 to earn another 12 balls. But then Hazlewood was miserly again, only 5 runs for Sri Lanka in the super over, batting first, and the Aussies knocking off the runs comfortably. It's been a good series so far.
I think that Sri Lanka's bowling's been excellent. By and large, Hasaranga's a big miss. Such a quality bowler, but you know, I think their batting's still pretty hit and miss. You know, it seems to be sort of all or nothing, really. A lot of the time when you see them out in the middle, it just boom or bust, basically.
Yeah, it is. Look, Nasanaka has been really good. He's been there, you know, he got 70 in the last game for about 50 balls. Asalanka, look, the captain, look, I think he's a little bit high. Mendes being back in the team, I think that's a really big in for them. That's a really big in. Dinesh Chandimal's a better player than he's shown thus far. So they do have some players. They've just got to put it together, and you can almost see the inexperience. It's like a bunch of inexperienced guys playing. You haven't got any of that senior leadership around the younger guys to show them or give them a bit of a hand when the high-pressure moments come along.
Let's look at this Australian team. For the first time, we're seeing the formula removed. The winning combination from the Emirates is now being changed up, partly through necessity with the injury to Steve Smith, but the fact that we're getting to see Ashton Agar coming into the team, and Daniel Sams, who sat on the bench and probably had someone whisper in his ear, by the way, mate, about $500,000 to go to Mumbai. Well done, you. And now he gets to play cricket here. Yeah, look, he's been. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Ashton Agar. He's always behind Adam Zampa, so he's a quality player. Sams, probably haven't seen a lot of him. I think I saw him against India last year, and he got touched up by Pandya in one of those last matches, but he's a better bowler than that. We see a lot of them during the IPL, the BBL during different stages of the year. Well, a bit of a venue specialist, because the Thunder play a lot of games here where Daniel Sams has been plying his trade of recent times, Dirk.
Yeah, I'd just like to know what the actual rotation policy is. It just seems like they randomly someone's number comes up and they miss a game. It doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason in the way they do it. Yeah,
I tend to agree with that. There's no real sort of solution. It's like it's a bit like, you know, they just pick a name, you know, they put it all in a mix around a bit and go, Paddy, your turn to miss it. And Paddy goes, what, really? Am I out? Am I?
Like credit card roulette. Everyone's credit card in the bowl, and who's missing out tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
well, we have seen a lot of domestic 20-over cricket here, but it's only the third 20-over international here. 1 win, 1 loss for Australia. They played Pakistan back in 2019 when 150 wasn't enough for Pakistan batting first. But then in December of 2020, India made 160 and Australia couldn't run it down. So probably the numbers of BBL cricket would tell us more, but at least from an international perspective, that's what we've had here previously. And the most recent cricket we've seen here, of course, was the green tinge of the women's Ashes, and that's not there on the pitch tonight. Yeah, look, it looks like a good flat wicket. I think a little bit, given the heat in the air, there could be a little bit of dew later on tonight, which will probably quicken up the wicket. We'll have to check on that throughout the course of the match, but it'll be close. I think looking for Sri Lanka to put on a good show with the bat and give something for Australia to chase. So Dirk will join Matt Clinch throughout the night. Stewie and I in for the first stint, as is the case for Mitchell Starc, who's going to be bowling from the northern end of Manuka Oval with, well, almost half of the ground in evening shade. There's a slip and a gully for the right-handed Patham Nissanka, who's been so good so far this series. Jams out a Yorker first ball from Starc, right on the money. Well, if you're looking for a better ball, you're probably not going to find one. It's full at the base of the stumps, probably hitting the white line, almost hitting the batter in the toe. Good start by Mitchell Starc. A little bit of shape back into the right-hander. He started like that the other night as well, and then he went for a few, but you just see with Mitchell Starc, when he gets it right, he's almost impossible to get away. Deep thirds out, so too is deep backward square. The two boundary riders in this opening power play. Finch at first slip, Inglis in the gully. It's a backward point, mid-off, mid-on, and mid-wicket in the infield. Starc left arm over to the right-handed Nissanka, who gets a wide down the leg side. First runs are sundry.
Yeah, 2 straight. A little bit of swing, which will be good for Mitchell Starc. Rod Tucker down at the Starc end of the ground, which is the swimming pool end of the ground, I'm told.
Pool end, northern end. There's been a few.
Parliament House end.
Yeah. And the end that we broadcast from when I was here calling the footy, I always just used to call it the Monica Village end, the Cafe Strip end. It's just behind us. Beautiful part of town.
I went for a walk today. It's a nice part of town down this end.
And there's a decent enough roll-up. The crowds in Sydney were very disappointing, it must be said. As Nasanka waits for Starc, that's very wide of the off stump. Just inside the blue line, according to umpire Tucker, as it was pitching on the popping crease or perhaps beyond on its way through to keeper Wade.
Caught up with Matthew Phelps, former New South Wales player, and now the General Manager of Commercial and Operations here down at Canberra Cricket. He's expecting about 7,500 to 8,000 at the moment. That'll depend a little bit on how many walk-ups turn in today or tonight to turn up and watch the game. So,
well, that's more than Sydney.
More than Sydney, yeah, more than Sydney had on Sunday. Won't get to where they got to on Friday, but look, it's a big crowd when you consider Monaca's not as big as those stadiums.
Sri Lanka sent in. Nasanka flashes, misses outside the off stump, and Wade tumbles to his right to take. It's none for one.
A bit of controversy on Saturday night too. Rod Tucker, the second last ball. Did you see that? It was on the line, just outside the blue line. Didn't call it a wide. Calls it a wide. Sri Lanka win the game, and there's
getting a replay of this one as well. That was pretty close.
That's a wide, I would have thought. And Tucker not prepared to get the old Warwick Farms out.
There was a few things happening. Steve Smith, all but preventing that 6 and hurting himself in the process. Glenn Maxwell dropping some catches.
2 catches, then running someone out.
Yeah. Starc working away once more. Full toss driven on the bump, fielded by the bowler in his follow-through. No run.
Yeah, Australian Aaron Finch said that after the game. They weren't as clinical in the field as they would like to be. They were okay. He was pretty impressed. He was happy with the batting, given the wicket was a bit challenging. It just wasn't quite coming onto the bat. Certainly he was critical in his post-match press conference at the match, saying that it's not the standards they set for themselves, and they were disappointed.
Down in front of us, we've got Josh Hazlewood whirring up those big arms. So he'll probably take the second over, but let's see what Starc can do here. Nasanka gets a short ball. That's another wide down the leg side. It bounced a second time before getting to the gloves of Wade. So the 2 runs that we've seen have both been leg side wides from the left armer Mitchell Starc.
Good toss to win this for Australia. It looks like it's going to get slower as the evening goes on. There's no grass on it. It looks like it almost died as it carried through to Matthew Wade.
New white ball, Mitchell Starc bowling, and it bounces a second time before getting to the keeper.
Very dry looking surface.
The Western sun setting on the Jack Fingleton scoreboard as Starc bowls short and pulled over mid-wicket for 4 by Nasanka. First boundary of the night. Too short, and he helps himself to a lovely stroke through the onside.
Yeah, lovely
6.
Short ball, back of the length, just jumped all over it. Horizontal bat shot, pulled away in front of square. He does like that shot, Nasanka. We saw it the other night numerous times. When he gets the length he wants, just gets in line, throws his hands through it. That time, doesn't matter how fast Mitchell Starc. You can see how placid that pitch is. The ball just not really flying through from a shortish type ball, and Nasanka had plenty of time. His hands and bat up and smash it away.
36 in game 1 and 73 on Sunday night, so he's been the form man for Sri Lanka on this tour. As Starc tries again, full outside the off stump, driven off the bottom toe of the bat without timing through cover. It does roll through the infield, and they'll come back for a couple. So the end of the first over, 2 wides, 8 deliveries, 8 runs for Sri Lanka sent in.
Yeah, he didn't quite get that over right, and it's probably a product of Mitchell Starc not bowling. That's the other side of resting players, that is that they haven't done the work, and then they come back into the team and they're under pressure. Things just looked like he was a bit short of a gallop there, Mitchell Starc. He'll nicely into his set here, but that over there just didn't quite have anything other than maybe the first ball that swung quite sharply.
And here's Josh Hazlewood going to start up as indicated from the broadcast end or the Monica Village end. Amazing to think that only played a dozen or so IPL games for Chennai last year, and then picked himself up the best part of 1.5 million Australian to go to Virat Kohli's RCB.
Must be a vote of confidence when Virat wants you in his team. It must be a vote of confidence. And who would you like? Hazlewood, right? How much? Doesn't matter.
Yep.
He's picked up Lanka in both matches, caught it mid-wicket and caught it short cover. Good catch by Josh Inglis on Sunday night. We're looking to pick him up 3 in a row here.
So the left-handed Gunatilaka to face Hazlewood. Full driven into the covers. It pierces the infield. Won't have the legs to get to the rope out on the western side. It's pulled in by Maxwell, and they take 2 and won't come for a third on his arm as he rifles the return on the bounce to Matthew Wade. None for 10.
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful with Glenn Maxwell. He it almost looks like he's only jogging after it, but we know when he picks it up, he's got this rocket of an arm. Many a player have decided that there's 2 or 3 there, and there just hasn't been.
Just this gorgeous picture of the western side of the ground in the shade, the eastern side looking into the setting sun, bathed in sunshine. Hazlewood bowls. It's hit in the air by Gunatilaka. Very high, beyond the field restriction circle and beyond the racing, stretching arms of the Australian fieldsman McDermott, who did everything in his power to get to that. I doubt he got a fingernail to it, and they got 2 runs with that hang time. That was almost like a punt in the Super Bowl. We needed the ticker on it to see how high it was and how long it stayed in the air.
Probably just goes to show the slowness of the surface, just really early on that, and went straight up in the air. It was a good effort. It only went probably 20 metres outside the inner circle. Probably just got a little finger on it. Just maybe one, those bottom 2 fingers. Just would have been a great catch if he'd caught it. Would have been one of the catches of the summer.
So none for 12. Hazlewood tries again to the left-hander. This time well-timed over mid-on's head. And a couple of bounces down to the rope for 4. The left-hander just seeing the length and happy to swing lustily to take Sri Lanka to none for 16 halfway through the second over.
Just a nicer bat swing there. Just waited for the ball to come to him. Got in line. Punched it away over the top of mid-on. Ball before, he really tried to muscle it down the ground. That time there, just waited, set up nicely, kept his head nice and still, and then used his beautiful bat swing to time the ball away rather than muscle it away.
Quentin Hull and Stuart Clark with you at Manuka Oval in Canberra for ABC Sport. As Hazlewood this time a little shorter of length and dabbed backward of Gully in the infield. The tip and run single on the offside to rotate the strike. Sri Lanka to 17 without loss. And Gunatilaka has 9 of those.
Yeah, you can see they're showing a replay on TV. You can see ball 1 really opened up, lost all his shape, tried to hit it way too hard that time. Nice and relaxed. Sanaka's had the measure of Josh Hazlewood. He hasn't been able to dismiss him yet. He's peeled off plenty of runs. He's looked their best player in the series thus far. Probably have to say Dinesh Chandimal's their most experienced player and probably got the runs on the board as far as experience. But Sanaka, young, only early in his career, but looking to set a good platform to build on that throughout the next 4 or 5 years.
4 in the infield on the offside. Hazlewood to Nasanka defending to point, won't get a run. So deep thirds out, deep backward square is out, and there's a very heavily protected offside infield. Backward point, cover point, extra cover and mid-off, and only mid-on and mid-wicket in the infield on the onside.
He's only a little man, Nasanka. Not a lot of him.
Gives it a whack, though.
Very fast hands when you watch him bat. His hands through the ball. Where all the power comes from.
36 on Friday, 73 on Sunday. And in the early phases of his innings here, chops down on a short of a length delivery from Hazlewood. It rolls towards the slips cord and he won't get a run there. That ends... Did I hear the call of over? Yes, I did. That is the end of the over with 9 runs coming from it. Sri Lanka sent in none for 17 with Gunatilaka on 9 and Nasanka 6.
And we're going to see a bowling change straight away. The Australians, most T20 teams around the world, like to change it up, keep the batter guessing. Doing a bat change here. Sanaka has asked for well, in the old days used to be the heavy bat. I think he's just asked for a bat, another bat. I think they'd be all the same weight these days.
It's a brand I'm not all that familiar with as well.
Subcontinental brand, I'd imagine. It's SF, isn't it, or SG or something like that?
That's does it say Stanford on it?
Stanford Hotels, perhaps.
Well, isn't that a university in the States? Kane Richardson's going to have a bowl from the far end, so just the one over from Mitchell Starc. So we'll see what he can add having essentially been part of the reserve pace battery of recent times.
It's hard with Kane Richardson because he's never quite in the team and he's never quite out of the team. He's always there or thereabouts, and he tends to be around the team a lot, but rarely when he gets a go when Hazelwood, Stark and Cummins are playing. So it's a difficult position he finds himself in.
Deep square is quite square and deep point is very square. Richardson bowls to the left-hander who ramps him without success straight to fine leg inside the circle, and Hazelwood takes an elementary catch. And the first ball that Kane Richardson delivers in Canberra, he picks up a wicket. The left-hander Dashanka Gunatilaka gone for 9. It's 1 for 17.
Yeah, Gunatilaka trying to play that lap sweep over the man at short fine leg. Didn't really get any bat on it, got right off the toe of the bat and just spooned it up in the air, and Hazelwood took a very simple catch. I think he was as surprised as anyone at how slowly that was coming. That's a dream start for Kane Richardson. You run up, you bowl your first one on the length and you pick up a wicket. He's got the dangerous wicket. Gunatilaka was looking very, very dangerous, played some nice shots. Unfortunately, he's been dismissed, and India, Sri Lanka lose their first wicket.
So Jarith Asalanka is going to come in at number 3. So another left-hander coming to the crease. What do you reckon's defendable here, Stewie?
Oh, look, if I was Sri Lanka, I'd want to be getting 160. I think 160. Only because I get the sense that the wicket's going to quicken up with a bit of dew on it later on as the heat starts to wear off.
I wonder whether that takes some of the spin.
It makes it more
variety out of Sri Lanka, yeah.
I don't think it'll be a heavy dew, but you can just feel it in the air that it's going to cool quickly. Moisture's going to start. The beautiful sunshine you've talked about, Q, over here in Canberra. It's almost like you're the tourism minister for Canberra, the way you've spoken about it tonight.
Well, look, I'm from Wagga Wagga originally, so this is pretty close to home. Richardson is bowling now. Asalanka's beaten outside the off stump through to Wade. I actually came to my first ever top-class cricket game at this venue in the mid-80s when the likes of Richards, Ambrose, Gomes and so forth were playing for the West Indies, and I came for a PM's 11 game.
Right.
So I've got fond memories of this ground. It's great to be back here.
Larry Gomes, there's a name blasted past, isn't it? Big hair.
We're out on that western side of the ground, and I think it was after the retirement of Rod Marsh, but he came back to play the PM's game. Yeah. And I think Viv caught him on the boundary, much to the disgust of the crowd. Richardson bowls, and it's defended down the offside by the new bat, Asalanka. Score remains 1 for 17 in the third over.
And the Jack Fingleton scoreboard, the former scoreboard of the MCG, is now proudly placed over on the hill on the eastern side of the ground, or the western side, let me think.
East.
Sun's over there. Sun's over there. West, sunny in the west.
Yep.
Yes, it's 101. I should know that. My kids will tell me if they're listening. Dad.
Richardson tries once more to Asalanka. Goes at him with a massive swipe over cow corner, almost into the Fingleton scoreboard for 6. I think it hit the bottom portion of it. That didn't go beyond the rope or beyond the fence. It almost went beyond the perimeter of Manuka Oval.
Almost out of here. It was almost one of those ones where you just jog around the bases and give high five your teammates there. It was just stand and deliver. It was a step hit ball, planted his foot, hit through the line. He needed one of those the other night in the Super Over. He didn't get any. But just the wrong length there from Kane Richardson, and Asalanka just plant. Oh, right, that was a J.S. Surya type shot.
Oh, wasn't it what? Yeah.
If you look at the replays, that's Sanath J.S. Surya at his best.
The lower hand, the bottom hand, and the way that he just monstered it with that lower hand, and it rocketed off the bat. 1 for 23. Asalanka's first scoring shot has now forced a bit of a conversation about the cricket ball, I think.
No, they've got to clean it. When the ball goes into the crowd, you have to, the umpires, because of their COVID protocols.
I was wondering whether it might have taken a chunk out of it as well.
The best part of it now is that you've just gone for 6, and now it's slippery. That's not a good feeling as a bowler.
So Richardson started with a wicket. He's been hit for 6. His next delivery is a wicket. Edging Asalanka to keep it Wade. And Richardson's got 2 wickets in the over. And Sri Lanka is 2 for 23. Well, Stewie, that is the best response for a bowler. If you've been pumped out of the ground, get your man nicking off the next delivery.
Yeah, good, just running one across the left-hander. Just may have fractionally moved off the seam, and Asalanka just sort of caught on the crease, no feet, fending at it. big nick through to Matthew Wade and Kane Richardson. He celebrates after being pounded out of the ground. Picks up his second wicket. 2 wickets and over for him. Now he's got 2 for 6. And the Australians now on top with Sri Lanka 2 for 23.
So 4 deliveries, 1 scoring shot, 6 runs. And Kusal Mendes, one of the new players into the team tonight.
He's a good player, this guy.
Yeah, good to see him back. So he'll join Nasanka at the crease.
Struck down by COVID for the last couple of games. Must have passed all the protocols to get himself back out there. Can't imagine he's done that much work in the nets either, so it'll be a get in there and find your feet as you're going.
The light tower's starting to take effect as well, and we are blessed in this broadcast facility, which is quite high, and we look out to that western side. You can see the national flag on top of Parliament House just taking effect from a bit of an easterly. Black Mountain Tower.
I was going to say, you've got to be careful what you call it. Black Mountain Tower is the current name of it. It used to be called something. When I was a kid, it was called, it had a telephone company.
Telecommunications Tower. Yeah. So it's always Black Mountain Tower, isn't it?
It is. That's the right name for it. It just had a commercial partner. When you were a school kid, you used to come down. Don't you remember going?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone. This was school. This was like the.
You go to the Institute of Sport.
Oh, yeah.
You go to Parliament House. You go to the War Memorial. All those things. Richardson to the right-hander. The new man Mendes. Let's go outside the off stump. Finch has brought himself into slip now. That's the end of a very eventful over from Kane Richardson. Wicket dot 6. Wicket dot something like that. 2 for 23 after 3.
Going along nicely. It always used to amaze me. They take you to the High Court. For a 6-year-old, or sorry, a 13-year-old kid, not a lot of interest in the High Court.
What's wrong with the High Court?
Well, I've been through law school. I know all about it now, but when you're 15 or 13, it really doesn't have any impact on your life. This is where they make rules and they put people away. Oh, really, is it? Wow, that's good.
You know, it was no good. Like, I'm old enough that Questacon wasn't around when I was at school.
Questacon, there's another place.
I've taken my kids to Questacon now and they love it. It's fantastic. We're going to see Daniel Sams come into the attack. So 4 overs in this power play for 4 different bowlers. Stark went for 8. Hazelwood went for 9. Richardson went for 6 but claimed 2 wickets. And now Sams gets a go. Left arm over the wicket, defending down the on side of the pitch as Nasanka. No run. Daniel Sams, of course, plays here regularly for the Sydney Thunder. And if you weren't with us at the top of the program, among the group of Australians to pick up a handy pay packet in the IPL mega auction, just under the 500,000 Australian dollars, heading to the Mumbai Indians.
Get a large earn when you go over there. He's been very successful in this format of the game, Daniel Sams now.
Who's over the wicket again? Change of pace delivery. It deceives Nasanka, who defends off the throw to the bat, and there's no run. So still only 2 men allowed out. And again, interesting combination here. They're very square. Deep point, deep square. I haven't seen that combination very often.
Well, the bit for Daniel Sams, and probably why the field, he bowls predominantly slow balls. Like his go-to ball is the left arm, runs his fingers across it, going from leg to off. So they feel as though the on-pace ball is the change-up rather than the slow ball.
Nasanka has blocked 2, has a go at this one, doesn't hit it all that well, drags it down to mid-on. Hazelwood does the fielding and he takes a single. Nasanka moves to 7, it's 2 for 24.
So that's one of the challenges for Daniel Sams now bowling at the end of the innings. Players have done their homework, and there's that much research in the game, or an analysis in the game, is that they set up for the slow ball and then react to the quicker ball. So Daniel Sams needs to almost, I don't want to call it reinvent himself because that's not the right term, but he just needs to be aware of that, and rather than continually go to the slow ball, try and use it a bit more sparingly.
So for Mendes, deep thirds out, so they've moved deep point. Deep square is still very square. Beats him to Sams outside the off stump. The left arm is slant, going across the right hander beautifully.
Lovely delivery that, just sort of seaming away. On speed ball again by Sams across the right hander. Mendes said probably wouldn't have done a lot of batting in the nets. He'd probably just sort of turn up and, you know, after being in sort of COVID isolation, take him a little bit of time to find his feet here.
Not just the left arm delivery from Daniel Sams, but a very hard hitting middle order bat as well. He bounces him down the leg side. Big swing and a miss from Mendes, trying to hook him away. A legal delivery, a dot.
Yeah, running over the top of the left shoulder, just on the left-hand ear of the batter. Looking at a replay here now. On speed again by Sams. Good bouncer. Right, sort of maybe came off the arm guard. Ooh, a little bit of... There's no great big appeal. Maybe, I think maybe a bit of arm guard, if anything. Maybe. Oh, it's an interesting one. No one appealed, did they?
No, it wasn't too far away from the glove. So now Mendes will try again. That's full off pace and a change of shot. He decides to just stroke it to mid-off and take the single. That was a definite deception from Sams there. Big wind up from Mendes. Had to come down on it slowly and take his medicine, take the one. That is the end of a very good over from Daniel Sams, costing only 3 runs, and sent in Sri Lanka is, in fact, just 2 runs. 2 for 25 with Nasanka on 7. Mendes 1, the men out Gunatilaka for 9 and Asalanka for 6.
We're seeing Josh Hazlewood now back into that. This is the same sort of pattern Aaron Finch used in Sydney, that Hazlewood bowled the 2nd over, he bowled the 4th over, Stark bowled the 1st over, and then he rotates through his bowlers. Doesn't have the luxury of Adam Zampa and doesn't have the luxury of Pat Cummins, but he's got a good variety of bowlers in his team. Don't see Glenn Maxwell's the other one I think's under-bowled, and maybe that's just because they've got so many options, but certainly his off spinners are hard to hit.
And there is a slip for Hazlewood from the pool end, and he strikes the abdomen there of Mendes, who tried a pull shot. I think it was bottom edge into body. Seems okay, just taking a few cautionary strides. Well, actually, as I say that, he is now ripped off his right glove and is feeling at his hand or forearm.
Yeah, it looks like it hit him in the bottom of the hand, that bottom finger, bottom, the wrist, that bony part on your wrist there.
The ulnar.
Is it?
Near that, yeah, I've broken that. That's the only reason I know the name of that
one there.
It's the sort of the end of the arm, near the wrist, yeah.
Is it ulnar radius or something?
Something like
radial.
Yeah, see. Now I sounded smart for a moment. Now you're asking more questions that I can't answer.
I don't know the answer. I know tibia and fibula, that's your leg, so that's, you don't have to worry about those ones.
He's got his glove back on.
He's good to go. He's strong.
That's the good news. So Kulsal Mendes, having been struck by Hazlewood, now takes his guard. Faces the 2nd ball of the 5th over and drives without timing into the covers, where it's swooped upon by McDermott, and there's no run.
You just see he's a fraction late on these. Mendes just not quite picking it up as quickly. He's going to have to try and work through this, battle his way through this little phase of the game, and once he gets a few away out of the bat, and he'll start to pick up the pace of the game. Not surprising that his best option is to get Nasanka back on strike and let Nasanka try and do some of the heavy lifting early on.
He's faced the 6 balls. Mendes has only scored the 1 run. Hazlewood right arm over to him. Again off pace, and again Mendes has to take his medicine and plays with soft hands into backward point. No run. The deception is really working for Josh Hazlewood here.
Yeah, that's the variety Josh Hazlewood's added to his game, and that's why we're talking $1.5 million in the IPL. He wasn't really renowned as a short version cricketer, especially in the shortest version T20 cricket, but it's gone away. His greatest strength, also his greatest weakness in this game, is he bowls so many balls on a good length around about off stump, he becomes predictable. He can still do that now, but he just adds in a slower ball or an off-pace ball, which is the same thing at a different pace with no change in his arm speed.
2 for 25, Hazlewood to Mendes. That's regular pace and a bit full. Heaved over mid-wicket without timing by Mendes. There's a man in the deep, and it's Sams doing the fielding to keep the scoring to 2. Mendes moves to 3. It's 2 for 27. 2 balls left in the 5th over.
The other thing you notice about Manica Oval, it's a big ground. There's lots of space. That 6, they brought it up before, it was 104 metres, the one that landed near the scoreboard. So that's a big hit in modern day terms, given ropes and boundaries are brought in. But Manica's always had that ability as a big oval.
Now, slip's now been taken out. Fine legs inside the circle. Hazlewood tries to Mendes, short and top edge pull out towards deep backward square. And Sams, we had his hands out as if he didn't pick it up straight away. It wasn't going to carry to him anyway. He retrieves on the bounce, throws into Wade. Single taken. Mendes moves to 4 and the score 2 for 28.
Yeah, he got big on him quickly there, Hazlewood. Short ball, round about chest height. Trying to heave it away over backward square leg. Just got on him too quick. Sams looked like he was going to give it the big Superman dive there at one stage and try and catch it, but it was miles away from him, in fairness.
So Gunatilaka out for 9, Asalanka out for 6, Hasaranga $2 million tweaker not playing tonight due to COVID. A number of changes for Sri Lanka as Hazelwood tries this time to Nasanka. Down the leg side, it's a wide. It will need to be re-bowled. 1 to the score, 2 for 29. So
slower ball again there.
We've got Avishka Fernando out, Hasaranga out from game 2. Mendes, who's at the crease here, is into the team along with Jeffrey Van der Say, a leg break bowler. Interesting to see what he comes up with. And for the Australian, Smith rested. That was well publicised due to cautions over concussion. Zampa and Cummins out. Sams Agar into the team, and Stark, who missed game 2, is back in. Hazelwood with the re-bowl of the Sundry. It's a late cut from Nasanka down to Stark at deep third man. Comfortable single taken, and that is the end of the 5th over. Sri Lanka 2 for 30. Mendes is on 4, Nasanka is on 8. Great to be with you here at Manuka Oval. Stuart Clark sticking around, and Matt Clinch is coming in.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Q. Good evening, Stewie. Good evening, everyone. Great to be in the nation's capital as the sun is starting to set and the artificial lights will start to take over. And Mitchell Stark is back into the attack.
G'day, Clinchy.
How are you, Stewie?
Yeah, haven't seen you since the Test match. So
no, we haven't.
We're meeting halfway between your hometown and mine. So.
Did you jump on the Big Bird or do the 5-hour drive?
No, I just did the couple of hours. It's only 2.5 hours, 3 hours from Sydney. So
okay.
I drove down this afternoon.
So Mitchell Stark bowling from the Manuka end here at Manuka Oval. Comes in, left arm to Nasanka, hits back down the ground, past Stark, beautifully timed. A boundary for Sri Lanka. 2 for 34 at the start of the 6th over.
He's got some going in with this bloke, Nasanka. He just stand and deliver. He really likes to target the onside. He prefers to go over mid-wicket, but that time it was a bit wider, and he just smacked it straight back past Mitchell Stark's right shoulder. He likes the pace. He's not afraid to get into the front foot and try and take on Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Richardson.
So that's Nasanka 12 from 13 deliveries. There's a deep square leg. And Stark comes in, hit on the pad as Nasanka trying to hit across the line. And the balloon's out back at a square on the offside where Aston Agar comes racing in to do the fielding.
Trying to go fine there. Nasanka trying to get it behind the umpire, in between the umpire and the man at 45. Slight change in the field now. It's a very heavily stacked offside field. And I think Australia now got a better field in place because I think he really likes to favour the onside rather than the off.
Kane Richardson down at deep third and Glenn Maxwell on the boundary at deep square leg. Mitchell Stark turns at the top of his mark once more. Into Nasanka, a short ball. He swings at it outside the off stump. Good carry after the previous ball. It was around the 120-kilometre mark that time with good flight and good bounce.
Yeah, a little bit. Might have just rolled his fingers on that one. Just when you're rolling the fingers on them, they're actually getting stuck in the wicket at the moment. So it's an interesting way to think about it. That the slower ball cross seamers is going to be really hard to hit as this match goes on. Watch for the Australians throughout the course of this innings to do different things with the ball.
Couple of taps of the bat from the right-handed Nasanka, awaiting Mitchell Stark. Wheels in the left arm, played through to mid-wicket, and a dot ball. As Ben McDermott does the fielding. Rockets the throw in at Matthew Wade behind the stumps. Nasanka on 12, Sri Lanka 2 for 34.
Now, do you like the innings timer while we're talking about, well, I can see it up there on the board, the innings timer?
So they're already one behind?
Well, no, they're 56 seconds behind.
Okay.
So 56 minutes to go. Sorry, it's 56 minutes to go.
That's the countdown timer. So, yeah, 56 minutes to go till the end of the innings. I'm glad you've done a couple of these games.
Well, in Sydney, all they had was 1 over behind the whole time.
Stark in, short ball to Nasanka, who guides it back with a point. That was nicely played. He might get a boundary for it as they turn and come back for 2. Some good fielding, although sliding into the rope in the end was Daniel Sams. I think that's going to be 4, but they were able to come back with Kane Richardson providing the ricochet. Did he get rid of the ball before he kissed the rope? We'll just check that. But
they'll have a look upstairs, won't they? It's just they usually do.
They ran 3.
Yeah, I don't think it hit the rope, though.
Sam's able to release it. Yeah, flicked it up, but he missed Richardson in the process and rolled it into the rope.
Yeah, did it hit the rope? I think we might get away with this. Just having a look at the replay now. No, umpire's not worrying.
So the 3 stands So Nasanka to 15, Sri Lanka 2 for 37. Last ball of the over. Starker shorter ball. Menzies is looking to lift him over the top of the vacant slip region. A dot ball to finish with. Sri Lanka 2 for 37 after 6. So that's the end of the power play with Nasanka on 15. And Mendes is there with him on 4.
So 55 minutes, they've got to bowl another 14 overs, eh? Well, the other night we saw Sri Lanka, they have to bring the extra man in up inside the field for every over that you are behind. So in the last over, Sri Lanka had to have 5 players inside the circle and couldn't have that extra man outside to protect. You know, maybe it cost them in the end, because if you think about that game, that extra man might have saved a run or two. We're going to see Ashton Agar into the attack, so Australia are going to employ their spinner.
So the left arm orthodox into the side for Adam Zampa. So if you've just flicked on the radio for the first time, 3 changes for the Australian lineup from Sunday's match, with Sams, Agar and Mitchell Starc coming in. Pat Cummins and Adam Zampa has been rested. Steve Smith out with those concussion protocols. And Mendes and Van der Sey has come in for Sri Lanka. Avishka Fernando is out, and Hasaranga unfortunately out with COVID. So looking forward to seeing some of these different variations.
Interesting to watch, because he bowls a really, really low arm action.
Agar is into the attack, struck on the pad, just maybe outside the line as Nasanka was going back and across.
Yeah, a little bit of bat, maybe sliding down. There was a few things that possibly could have been. No review by the Australians.
So over the wicket with the left armour, and this time Nasanka's just able to flick it through the vacant mid-wicket. Quickly turns for the first, but good fielding from Glenn Maxwell, who races in from the rope. So just 1 to Nasanka, he's 16. Sri Lanka 2 for 38 in the 7th over.
Just working nicely. Wait till, have you seen Nuan bowl yet? It's Lasith Malinga reincarnated.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a bit later on, so I'm excited about seeing that.
So Mendes is 4 off 10, back in the Sri Lankan lineup after passing the COVID protocols. And Ashton Agar with the left arm around the wicket, hit back straight to him, and Agar takes the catch. Welcome back to T20 cricket, Ashton Agar. And Mendes, a frustrating way to go. He's out for 4. Sri Lanka all of a sudden a 3 for 38.
Yeah, it looks like that one got stuck in the wicket. Again, just that slowness, no real pace. Looking at a replay here, just early on, it just popped on him a little bit, and unfortunately Mendes just pushing at it with his hands, and it was almost hit up on the stickers. A few of the Australian players just having a look at the wicket as they walk back to their mark, but yeah, it was an innocuous delivery, but just popped, just chipped it back. Ashton Agar's not going to get a simpler catch than that. He's picked up his first wicket, 1 for 1, and brings Dinesh Chandimal to the crease.
You sort of forget about Ashton Agar, don't you, when you think about Australia's best side. Was a part of the World Cup squad, but found it hard to get games in there. Adam Zampa bowled so well. Glenn Maxwell obviously is the other off-spin option. So even though his form stacks up at 28 years of age, 33 wickets from 40 matches, it's hard to squeeze him into the best 11.
It's very hard, and that's it's a shame, because he's such a good player. He's just, you know, Adam Zampa, that's what you got to pay. He's taken his opportunity and he's just run with it.
So it brings the 32-year-old Dinesh Chandimal out to the middle. Now, even though Mendes is known to keep, Chandimal's down on the team sheet to be the keeper. Also surprising that Aaron Finch is down to bat at 3 and Ashton Agar to open. So keep an eye on that, Stewie.
Well, that'll be interesting. Aaron Finch sliding down the order, giving Agar a go.
So the new batter, Chandimal, on strike, awaiting Agar around the wicket. He's forward and defending.
He's their most accomplished player, is Chandimal, so you'd expect him in a Sanaka.
Scored 19 in the second T20, 25 not out in the first, as he's forward just pushing past a lunging Agar, who dives to his left but isn't able to prevent the single. Chandimal's off the mark. Sri Lanka 3 for 39 in the 7th over.
It looks like there's no pace in the wicket. Almost early again on that delivery, pushing at it with his hands, steered it away from Agar.
So long on is out, long off as well. Protection on the offside with a deep cover. Next delivery from Agar, it's chopped down by Nasanka. Just balloons out to Josh Hazlewood at short third man. So the end of the over, Sri Lanka 3 for 39 after 7 overs, with Ashton Agar into the attack and able to pick up a wicket in his first over. Stewie Clark takes a breather. Good to see Dirk Nannes in Canberra. Dirk, hello.
Good to be with you, Clinchy. It's been an interesting pitch that we're looking at here. Really does seem difficult to score on. Like that last dismissal, every now and then they're popping out of the pitch, and I think also we see the challenge that Josh Hazlewood brings on pitches like this. He has this amazing ability these days, something that he hasn't had earlier on in his career, the ability to bowl with the same arm speed and be able to do different things with the ball off the pitch. It's a wonderful talent, shows the development of him as a player.
So Glenn Maxwell into the attack from the Manuka end here. He's going to bowl his right arm off breaks as he starts this next over. Chandimal's forward. He's able to push it into a gap into the covers past lunging Aaron Finch for a single. 3 for 40 at the start of the 8th over after Australia won the toss and elected to bowl first. What do you think of the Glenn Maxwell goatee? Is it channeling a bit of Ricky Ponting back in the glory days?
That's exactly who I thought it was.
Around the wicket, Maxwell. Big shot from Nasanka as he got the distance. No, caught on the rope. Sams with an excellent catch, lunging to his right. It was awkward because he had to deal with the fence. And Nasanka has to go. Gone for 16. And Sri Lanka are 4 for 40 in the 8th over.
Terrific diving catch. You thought off the bat it was just going to land a little bit short of him. Ended up he took a fantastic catch because he did have to navigate the boundary rope, and he's only caught it just a few centimetres inside. They're probably going to have a look at it. Lucky he doesn't have that towel of his hanging out the right pocket, because it would have hit the rope. He was that close.
It was almost like the slip and slide. He had to all of a sudden come up to an abrupt halt and was able to do so without brushing into the rope. And so Sri Lanka have had their problems trying to build a partnership, but 4 for 40 in the 8th over. It puts a lot of pressure on Dasun Shanaka, who comes out to the middle, the captain for Sri Lanka, knowing that if they can't build something here, this could be a very low and uncompetitive total.
That shot is on many grounds around the world. That's 6 runs. This is a big ground in Canberra, and just caught. What, that's probably a foot, 2 feet inside the line?
Yeah, a foot, I'd say. And the other part, I guess, on a lot of the grounds in Sri Lanka, that would be 6 comfortably. Maxwell to the new batter, Shanaka, who's going the ramp on his first shot across the line, was able to execute it down to fine leg for a single. So he's off the mark. Sri Lanka 4 for 41.
And yes, that is Ricky Ponting back in the day. That goatee of his is...
got more colour than like a Mike Gadding, doesn't it?
Wow, it's not really befitting of the age, is it?
Maybe he's trying to channel a bit of punter. Around the wicket, Maxwell, shorter ball to Chandimal, who's able to drive it down the ground. Mitchell Starc will do the fielding and a single.
I feel as though facial hair's kind of still... Today, the fashion is kind of what was in the 70s, and I think he's jumped a decade. I don't think he can just jump a decade.
Shanaka awaiting Maxwell off the outside edge as he's lunging forward, looking to play across the line. It rolls out to Finch on the offside, just forward a square. Sri Lanka 4 for 42 in the 8th over, with a deep point, fine leg, long on, long off, as he's looking to ramp once more. Shanaka has come with the intent that that's his shot, got himself in a bit of a tangle in the end. No damage done as it just ballooned out onto the onside, and that's the end of the over. 4 for 42 after 8 overs.
There's no real risk with the deep backward square out. That's the only man behind square leg. The only danger that he really has is getting out LBW. So it's a very low risk shot, and you can get 1 or 2, but the challenge is you don't want to miss too many of them.
Dirk Nannes and Matt Clinch with you on Grandstand Cricket on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, via the ABC Listen app, and of course with our friends on the BBC through Test Match Special. So Mitchell Starc bowled from the Manuka end. Now he's coming back in the attack from the northern end. None for 15 from his 2 overs so far. And Sri Lanka 4 for 42. Stark comes in, over the wicket, bowls to Chandimal, hits back down the ground, almost the catch taken. Stark down low to his left, got hands to it. Ends up belly down on the Manuka pitch.
Is this a return chance or a bump ball?
I think it was a return
for us, yeah,
chance, the way Mitch Stark responded to it.
Oh, just gone through. That would have been spectacular catch had he taken it. It's really unusual to see Mitchell Stark coming back and bowling the 9th over. This is really unusual to see you opening quick, coming back and bowling at this time on a slow pitch.
Stark comes in, back past the umpire, bowls to Chandimal. It's wide, and he's able to wedge it out down to third man, where Josh Hazlewood does the fielding. Chandimal to 4, Sri Lanka 4 for 43 in the 9th over.
And over this T20 series, he's had a slightly different bowling action. He's always quite mechanical, and he keeps his arms really close together. Every now and then in this series, I've noticed that in his bowling action, he has his elbows and his arms actually quite a long way away from his body, almost as though he's... It's almost a tell that he's bowling a slower ball at times. Just haven't quite nailed down exactly the delivery he's trying to deliver when he does that.
Stark in, shorter ball. Shanaka once more looking to flash at it outside the off stump. Taken by Wade behind the stumps. Yeah, he took none for 41 in the first T20, and then all of a sudden was dropped for the second. Kane Richardson came in. Conversations off the back of the World Cup, where he was expensive there in the final, as to whether Mitchell Stark is still one of the best T20 bowlers in the world.
I think the first ball tonight was getting a lot of top order players out, but then it was the rest of that first over, the next 7 balls that came after that were pretty poor.
Finch into it, slip. Sorry, Dirk.
It's just the inconsistency.
Inglis into an extra cover. The Stark comes in to Shanaka, who's able to work it across the line through mid-wicket for a single, where just those fielders were taken out as Glenn Maxwell races in from the deep to do the fielding. 4 for 44 in the 9th over, with Shanaka on 2. You, of course, has been mixing your trades, Winter Olympics, back into cricket.
It's been fantastic fun as well.
People forget your first love was skiing, don't they?
Yeah, while I'm here in Canberra, I feel like I need to duck up to Jindabyne.
Stark in, a shorter ball once more. Chandimal swings hard, but hits it off the bottom of the bat as it just rolls out to Inglis, who does the fielding at extra cover.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic time calling the Olympics. It was my first love, and I still do spend a lot of time at the snow when I'm away from cricket. It's pretty much most of what I do, so it is something that comes pretty natural to me to be around the snow, and calling it is an absolute thrill.
Last ball of the over, Stark over the wicket to Chandimal, who's able to pull it backward of square. He's timed this well and gets a boundary. Racing around Sams quickly from extra cover. He wasn't able to get there, in a good way for Sri Lanka to close out the over. 6 coming from that over. Sri Lanka 4 for 48 after 9 overs, with Shanaka is on 8. And fallen for the old scoreboard that hasn't quite updated there. But yes.
You've been watching it?
I have. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
What have you enjoyed?
What have I enjoyed? Oh, I mean, you can't go past the snowboarding half-pipe. Scotty James on Friday lunchtime.
That's starting to get really silly, isn't it?
Getting some serious air and tricks. I don't know how you describe them. I had no idea what they were. And then I was fearful for people's safety and well-being sometimes when they were getting as high as what they were.
Yeah.
And you feel like there must come a stage in your career where you think, this is just crazy. I can't keep trying these tricks from this height. If it goes wrong, the risk for error is so high.
Yeah, it is all quite progressive, though. It's not as though you get in there and straight away are trying that. You work your way up to those tricks in a half pipe or on a big air jump or wherever. It's not as though that's the first run you see them do in the pipe.
Agar continuing from the Manuka end, and Shanaka's forward with his first delivery, just defending it to Aaron Finch, who does the fielding at extra cover. Sri Lanka 4 for 48, Shanaka on 2. Chandimal is on 8. Agar around the wicket, full face of the bat forward as Shanaka defends it into the offside.
Ashton Agar has to be one of the unluckier cricketers in Australian cricket over recent history. So not
Stuart McGill about it, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, Adam Zampa deserves his place in the side. He's a superstar.
Shanaka awaiting this next delivery. It's a quicker ball from Agar, and he's able to just find the gap in the cover, just wide of Kane Richardson and Aaron Finch, who's fielding at a cover point for a single. Shanaka to 3.
He'd be a walk-up start in most other teams in world cricket, for mine.
Not to mention he's now 28. You start to wonder, you know, my numbers stack up in BBL. What have I got to do? Around the wicket once more. Chandimal's able to work it just to mid-wicket. Quick onto it was Inglis, preventing the single.
But then he becomes a victim of circumstance, doesn't he? Adam Zampa's bowling the house down every time he plays.
Agar, quicker delivery, shorter, and Chandimal's able to hit it down to long off for a single, where Sams does the fielding.
The beauty of this Australian team is you've got someone like a Maxwell who can roll out a couple of overs. Yeah, every now and then he gets... He might not have the quality of an Agar, but he certainly can bowl a couple of overs, 2 or 3 overs in a T20 game perfectly reasonably.
Brings up the 50 for Sri Lanka, but they're 4 down. Last ball of the over. Shanaka's able to flick his wrists and play it through mid-wicket for a single to close out the over as Maxwell does the fielding. So Chandimal on 9. Shanaka on 4. Sri Lanka 4 for 51 after 10 overs. And in a moment, Nanis is going to be joined by Quentin Hull.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
I think I've got a new nickname for you. Genghis. The man of the Mongols. My daughter's just saying, oh, can we watch the Mongols, please?
Do you like the Mongols?
Love the Mongols. Yeah, it's the Mongols.
Fair bit going on. I feel as though every 4 years I have to try and educate people who haven't seen the sport for the previous 4 years. That's the challenge of it, I think, as a broadcaster.
Richardson is going to come in from the pool and 4 for 51, the 11th over. Turned on the onside here by Shanaka, and he'll take a single to Sams at deep square. Sri Lanka sent in, losing Gunatilaka for 9 with the score on 17. Sri Lanka for 6 with the score on 23, both coming in Richardson's first over, which was the 3rd of the innings. And then since Mendes gone for 4, 3 for 38, and Nasanka gone for 17, 4 for 40. And not much progression since then. 4 for 52. Now Chandimal on strike, pushes on the bump to Agar at backward point. Yeah, I was listening, obviously, as the broadcast game, and as much as I'm sitting there trying to work out some of the terminology, it'd be like a foreigner to cricket when we talk about silly mid-on and square leg. That, it's the language of sport.
Yep.
And it does take a bit of education to work it all out, and I think cricket is probably one of the great examples of that, as Richardson delivers outside the off stump, and an easy nudge from Chandimal on the late cut runs it down to deep third for a single, and a further run to the scoreboard. 4 for 53 in the 11th.
I think because a lot of the terms we use aren't necessarily intuitive. It's where is third man? It's
the third man.
It's a ridiculously named position. It gives you no indication of where that person is on the field, really.
Richardson, right arm over the wicket, steaming in, whipped away by Shanaka. In between the 2 sweepers in the deep, Sams gets there first, and a lightning pick up and return on the bump keeps it 2-1. Chandimal 10, Shanaka 6, 4 for 54. And Sri Lanka has slowed down markedly since the power play. 2 for 37 after the 6th over. And then they lost a wicket, scored only 2 runs in the 7th over. Lost a wicket, scored only 3 runs in the 8th over. 6 runs in the 9th over, and 3 runs in the 10th over. As Richardson here is outside the off stump, and again Chandimal helps himself to a single on the late glide down to Stark at deep third.
I just wonder whether they've gone a little bit gun shy and trying to hit down the ground, and probably rightfully so, because this pitch is up and down, slow pitch, and the ball's tending to misbehave a fraction, and so those conditions you tend to be caught mid-on, mid-off, so it's a bit of a challenge to try and hit those big booming drives.
Richardson tries once more, full, driven by Shanaka. Crowd catch on the bump to Cabba. They went up as it was fielded by Inglis. And that's another very economical over for Australia. Just the 4 runs from it. And Sri Lanka through 11 is 4 for 55.
When did it start being called a crowd catch?
Good question.
I don't remember that growing up.
I just heard it in my youth. Basically, well, predominantly watching the Channel 9 broadcast when you'd hear the crowd go up and it was on the bump. No. You happy with that term?
I'm happy with that, yeah, fine.
Well, we're speaking terminology, all manner of things. Agar starts a new over around the wicket. First ball is defended. Again, no run there for Chandimal. So the security, the men on the boundary, deep point, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. Chandimal takes half a step forward, doesn't go big, dabs and runs to Finch in the covers and takes the single to rotate the strike and moves to 12, 4 for 56.
Just feel something's got to give now. They're just crawling along at the minute, and it's that boom or bust mentality that seems to be here.
Shanaka gets a quicker ball which hits his inside edge, then onto his pads. Well bowled by Agar. Left arm around, jamming into the right hander's leg stump.
Like manipulating that ball there. You've got 3 men out in the deep on the leg side and a ball sliding into middle and leg, and you're not turning that onto the leg side for one.
Agar in again, and this time it's whipped in the air. Bounces inside the field restriction circle, then rolls to Stark at long on, and they take a single. And Chandimal now on strike. Shanaka to 7, 4 for 57.
That's almost the art of turning these scores that may be somewhere around 120 into 140. It's that intent to just nurdle the runs.
Chandimal again forced back by Agar, turns it just behind the square leg umpire. Furious chase from Inglis at mid-wicket to ensure it's just an infield single. Chandimal to 13, 4 for 58. Very good spell so far from Ashton Agar. In his 3rd over, round the wicket, leading edge, just falls short of Finch at extra cover. Shanaka walked at him and, deceived by flight and pace, checked his shot, and it almost cost him his wicket. Again, an economical over, just the 3 runs from it, 4 for 58.
I can't think of a more attractive evening for cricket.
I'm glad you're on the bandwagon as well. It's a lovely night. They've got, if that's not a full moon, it's 9/10, isn't it? Out towards the east. It's just gorgeous. Daniel Sams is now going to be brought back into the attack. Ashton Agar, 3 overs for 8. And picking up the wicket of Mendes as well. So Sams is now going to come in for his 2nd over. He bowled the 4th of the innings and it cost him only 2 runs. I bet you're happy that a left armer got some coin in the IPL. Dirk, Daniel Sams, about 500,000 Australian to play for Mumbai. Well done, he.
It's okay, isn't it?
He's going around the wicket here to start the new over. It's whipped away by Chandimal down to deep backward square along the deck, and just a single to Hazelwood. Again, just a single. Seem to be saying it quite often at the moment. Chandimal to 14, 4 for 59.
It's always a fascinating insight into how to put a team together, the IPL auction. And you think that if you don't understand the auction process and you have a look from the outside and you see the values placed on some players and not on others, it is a really confusing environment.
Sams just read the dancing feet of Shanaka there. He stepped to the onside, then regained his regular stance, and change of pace from Sams, and Chandimal said, well done, and nudged him, Shanaka should I say, nudged him down to deep fine for a single. Again, just the ones, 4 for 60 in the 13th over.
You see the likes of Tim David for going for so much, and then you see players that miss out, and you start scratching your head thinking, how is it possible that players are like that?
Chandimal faces Sam short and pulled out towards the deep backward square boundary. 2 fielders meet, and Hazelwood just taps it in, prevents the boundary, picked up by McDermott, who rifles in the return, and they complete a couple. 4 for 62. Here we are halfway through the 13th over. Last boundary was at the end of the 9th over. Didn't have one in the 8th, didn't have one in the 7th. Had a boundary in the 6th, so we've had one boundary since the end of the 6-over power play. Terrific bowling from the Australians. Slower delivery from Sams. It's nicked through the vacant slips. Corden down to Stark at deep third, and Chandimal picks up another single to move to 17. It's 4 for 63.
I think with the exception of that 6 that got hit off Kane Richardson earlier in the evening, I don't think Australia really bowled from memory any step hit balls, any of those genuine 4 balls. They've been pretty good in bowling just back of the length, making it hard to drive on this slowish surface.
Now Shanaka waits for Sam. Second last ball of the 13th over, hits him on the hip. No run, look to swivel it out on the onside. And he just takes a step or two away, does the batter, to contemplate his fate there.
Which one surprised you in the IPL auction?
I think I wasn't surprised that Matthew Wade eventually got a gig, but it's a really good gig in the end for him. $400,000 or thereabouts for the new team Gujarat. For someone who's played so little IPL through his career, but is known as such a good exponent of the game. So I was really happy for him. Sam's slow and off pace, adapt to backward point, no run. There was half the thought there. Agar picked up, and Shanaka was sent back by Chandimal at the non-strikers, and another economical over from the Australians. Just 5 runs from it. It's 4 for 63 after 13.
I'll be interested to see where he ends up batting in that side. I don't think you're necessarily going to pay that much for someone to bat in that Australian, where he does it a lot of the time down at 7 or 6-7 here in this Australian side, 6 to 9. You probably want to, if you're paying that sort of money, probably put him up a little bit higher.
Well, he was overlooked at the first occasion and then got retaken or taken.
Yeah, like so many, though.
In the revisit, yeah.
They pick and choose and then fill holes at the end. They find the holes that they've got in their local Indian talent.
Agar's going to be bowled out from the Manakabeli edge, and that's down the leg side. Might be a stumping off a wide here. Now, the umpire at the striker's end now does indicate wide as square leg goes to the screen. We're talking nuances and terminology. Try to explain to someone who doesn't know cricket how you can lose your wicket on a wide.
And it's a fair delivery.
That's great work from Matthew Wade. On cue almost, Dirk. Has he got his man here?
I don't think that's that hard a concept to explain to somebody. Not sure he actually has. I'm unsure he actually moved his foot or raised his foot.
And Chandimal looking to sweep it away.
Okay, so I've got no hotspot there. Can I move through to RTS when ready?
And for some reason,
why do we need to check hotspot?
We're getting real-time snicko and hotspot, yet I thought we were going for a stumping.
I can confirm there, no bat involved. Can I have your best side on shot now of the stumping, please?
So not out was the call. I don't know why we're doing all of this.
Still grounded. Thank you. Have you got a zoom for me on that?
Why did we have that other stuff, Dirk?
I've got no idea.
Okay.
Cricket just does this to us sometimes.
Sam Nagoski is the TV umpire tonight. Chandimal is safe and will survive.
Yeah, keep going.
And
Next frame.
Sri Lanka's going to remain at 4 for 64.
Yes, thank you. No, that's all I need to see. My decision for the screen will be not out. Repeat, not out.
So Chandimal will survive. Yeah, it's just in the nuances of the concept of no balls and wides. You know, these are the deliveries where generally you can't get people out unless you're out of your ground and the stumps are broken. Agar around the wicket, Chandimal drives and beats the fielder who tried to skip across and field in his follow through, perhaps a little impeded by the non-striker.
So back to that IPL.
They get a run.
You tend to go through you pick your Indian talent first and foremost. Yes, you might get a couple of big name international signings in your team.
Agar around the wicket, leading edge, falls short of backward point, no run, score remains 4 for 65.
But you build the structure of your team on your local Indian talent, and then at the end of the auction, you fill the holes that you've got in your team. Oh, we're pretty light on fast bowlers. Oh, hang on, we don't have any.
Agard at Shanaka turns it on the onside. No one at mid-wicket, so the bowler has to trot across the field, and they take a run.
Don't have any backup for our young Indian keeper that we've got. Or maybe we're a little light on there, and we might need a middle order batsman. Maybe Wade can fill that role. So you go after them, and that's how you end up picking a lot of your international talent.
Chandimal pushes Agard through point, doesn't beat the infield, but to the right of Richardson, so they can take a single, another single. 4 for 67, Sri Lanka. 2 balls left in the 14th over. Chandimal to 19 with that stroke from 21 deliveries. Shanaka's 9 from 20. Make it 10 from 21 as he dabs on the offside and takes a run to point. And Ashton Agar's going to finish his 4 overs in a moment with some very tidy numbers on a ground which sometimes spinners shake their knees in fear of the placid surrounds here. Full into the pads of Chandimal. The next delivery turned for a single to deep backwards square. That's the end of 14 overs and the end of Ashton Agar. 4 overs, 1 for 14. Well bowled he being brought into the team tonight, and Sri Lanka is 4 for 69 through 14. Stuart Clark coming in to replace Dirk Nannes.
Evening again, Q.
Keep keenly observing the game, listening to the conversation around IPL lists.
Yeah, I agree with Dirk. You tend to pick your Indian players because you've got 8 of them, and you've only got 4 internationals in the team at any one stage. So you need to have a strong. Yes, you're going to pick your superstar of the game, Glenn Maxwell, or I don't know, Ben Stokes, or someone like that from around the world. But then you've got a backfill. I think Matthew Wade, he covers a lot of positions. Wicket-keeping one, middle order batting. I've seen him bowl occasionally. I don't think he's going to do much of that.
Well, you never know.
But he can bat at the top of the order, and he can also bat in the middle. So he's actually quite a versatile player, which makes him very, very handy for any IPL franchise. So I'm not surprised he got picked up.
He's only ever played 3 other IPL games, and that was for Delhi back in 2011. So we're talking 10 years ago. And now he gets a chance to go back there on good money.
He's improved, see? Just on the trajectory up.
Hazelwood is going to start the new over from the pool end. Over the wicket, Chandimal winds up, missed times on the heave through the offside bottom edge into the covers, no run.
I said 160 I'd be comfortable. I don't think 160 is going to be quite gettable, or certainly not for the Sri Lankans. They're going to have to bat very well from here to get 160.
90 off 6 overs.
Yeah, but I don't think the wicket's that conducive either, unless it gets some moisture on it and quickens up significantly. So 130, 140 would be a good score. Whether they get there or not, it's still a big ask from where they are.
Chandimal on 20 from 23. He's had a good look. It's time to launch. What has he got? He swings hard here. Hazelwood's got him off a top edge down towards deep backward point. Sort of in the no man's land between the infield and outfield, and Stoinis comes in from the rope to do the fielding and breaks the stumps with his return. They take a couple.
Haven't seen Stoinis with the ball tonight. We saw him in both the first 2 matches, so we haven't needed any Stoinis bowling action.
He had 18 to work with the other night. He couldn't finish the game in his last over.
Yeah, he couldn't. It, in fairness to Sri Lanka, they batted well, but I think he got it wrong a couple of times and went, mind you, Smith takes that catch and it's significantly different, but
Chandimal faces Hazelwood short, pulling, missing. Good pace. Taken gloves, pointed high and beyond eye height from Matt Wade. That was the quick one from the Hoff.
Quick, and it really took off. And that's what I'm looking at the wicket. It just seems a fraction too pace. That one's really flying through. You put a bit of effort into that one. You got to give the bowler some credit there for a change up rather than just down. But it certainly really reared up off the length it hit.
3 balls left in this 15th over. No Zampa, no Cummins tonight, no Smith. And unfortunately for Sri Lanka, no Hasaranga due to COVID. Hazelwood to Chandimal, short, pulled, timed ferociously, races to the sweeper Sams at deep square leg, and just a single. Chandimal to 23, 4 for 72.
With 4 overs to go, Sams has bowled 2, so you imagine he'll probably bowl out. Hazelwood and Stark will probably bowl 1 more each, so that'll be rounding out of bowlers. Richardson's there as well. I've forgotten about him. He's a good, very, very good end of innings bowler.
He's bowled just the 1.
So we've got options.
2.
Well, 2, yeah.
2.
Yeah. So Australia luxury of options at the end, so if someone does go the journey, you can swap him out.
Shanaka steps to the offside, tried to play the ramp, missed it, went through to Wade. That is a dot. So since the power play, the overs have looked like this: 1 for 2, 1 for 4, 6, 3, 4, 3, 5, 6.
Yeah, they just have not been able to get the Australians away. And it's been good bowling. It's also been the wicket, I think. I don't think it's conducive to, as I said, big scoring. Certainly got to give the Australians credit for looking at what is on offer and then exploiting those conditions.
Not much natural light left now. A gorgeous evening in Canberra. Last ball of the 15th. Hazelwood to Chandimal. Tries the ramp, gets it this time. Over the head of Agar, who gives chase but can't haul it in. Down to the rope for 4. And finally, Sri Lanka with a boundary. That's the first boundary since, I think, the 9th over. We'll just have a quick check of that at the end of the 15th. Yep, first boundary since the 9th over. Comes last ball of the 15th. Sri Lanka 4 for 76 with Chanaka on 17 and Chandimal 23. Stuart Clark about to be joined by Matt Clinch.
International cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you very much, Quentin. Yes, first boundary in 35 balls. So what can Sri Lanka muster here after Australia won the toss and elected to bowl? Got 2 set batters now. Shanaka on 14 for 23 deliveries. Chandimal on 23 from 26. So Stuart Clark, the time is starting to run out. Daniel Sams into the attack. What can they do? Can they find some boundaries here? Lots of protection on the onside with deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on and long off the back. Sams comes in, bowls to Chandimal. He's looking to try and play a ramp shot off the pad down the leg side. He's able to get through for the single as Finch does the fielding. 4 for 77 in the 16th over.
Well, they certainly need to get, there's no question they need to get on with it if they want to post a decent total. Sam's going to be difficult. He's going to bowl a lot of slow ball. He's going to round the wicket to both right-handers. He's going to angle the ball in, and then he's going to try and take it away with his slower ball. And all the fielders out in the deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, deep long on are very much in play because that's the scoring zone.
Short fine leg, short third, full delivery from Sams, and Shanaka looking to swing and drive through the offside. Swing and a miss.
And Shanaka just opening up then, so if you think about what he was trying to do then, he actually kept himself very side on and was trying to hit the ball away through the offside. You've got a fielder out at deep point, you've got a fielder at deep mid off and cover back on the circle. 2 men behind the square, short third and a sort of backward point.
Shanaka on 14, awaiting Sam, steps across to the offside, executes the ramp through the vacant square leg region. Didn't look like it was without risk, but he was able to do it successfully, and Marcus Stoinis races around to his left to do the fielding. 2 for 78, Shanaka to 15.
And I can accept what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the ball to where the fielder isn't, but there's also a point where you've got to go away from it and stand still, watch the ball, try and take on these fielders here, because if he gets it clean, we've seen all game, they go miles. So you don't just have to go with the finesse stuff, you can actually go with your power game as well.
Sams at his third over, none for 9. Into Chandimal, hits it in the air, it's going to land short of the deep mid-wicket. So they're able to get through for a single as Ashton Agar comes racing in from the rope. Chandimal to 25, 4 for 79 in the 16th over.
The other thing I'd be doing if I was one of the Sri Lankan batsmen, and if you do any analysis, Sams is going to bowl plenty of slow ball, set up for the slower ball and then react to the quicker ball if it comes your way.
What will Shanaka do here? Awaiting Sam's full delivery, hits it hard through the offside. That's well timed. Beat the fielder at deep point. Glenn Maxwell is as quick as they come and racing to his left. It was so well timed. Shanaka to 19, 4 for 83.
And that time they just stood nice and still, really didn't overthink, opened up his front foot as the ball was released, so gave himself the option of taking the ball away through the offside, or if it was on the stumps, dragging it over mid-wicket. Sometimes just the simple stuff's as good as all the fancy stuff.
So that gap is there on the offside if he wants to go there. Bouncer from Sam. Shanaka takes it on over the short fine leg. Aaron Finch will get a back-to-back boundary. Another 4. Shanaka to 23, 4 for 87 after 16 overs.
Yeah, slow ball bounce at that time. Shanaka just scraping over the top of the man at short, fine leg, but it raced away. As soon as it beat Aaron Finch, I think, standing there, it just raced across this outfield and ran into the fence. If he'd let it go, it would have been a wide. It was well and truly over the head of the batsman, but he got enough bat on it, and it flew away.
So 11 off that over, and Sri Lanka 4 for 87. Kane Richardson having a long chat with Aaron Finch about what he's hoping to execute here. Sri Lanka, having been sent in, they were in all sorts of trouble after losing wickets early. So Ganatilaka was out for 9 in the second over. They lost Asalanka out for 6. They were 2 for 23 at that stage, and then they lost 2 wickets very quickly. So both those first couple of wickets fell in the second over, and then Kusal Mendez was out for 4 and Sanka out for 16. So Kane Richardson in from the pool end, bowling to Chandimal, full delivery, he's bowled him. Cannon into the bottom of off stump. Richardson with a bit of a shake of the shoulder as he was able to execute perfectly. And Chandimal's out for 25. Sri Lanka 5 for 87.
He's had one of those days, as Kane Richardson. Everything he's touched turned to goal. That was a slower ball to start with. Full clip the top of the outside of the off stump. He picks up another wicket. That's his 3rd for the evening, Kane Richardson. He's just going through the Sri Lankan top order with much ease at the moment, but good change of pace, good deception. Unfortunately for the Sri Lankans, their 5th wicket now. Chandimal's out, 5 for 87.
And Kane Richardson, who was obviously left out of the first T20. Mitchell Starc didn't seem to bowl all that well. He gets his opportunity in the second, and now trying to make sure he's a permanent fixture here. So, as you said, has bowled pretty well so far tonight. So, trying to ensure he's a regular part of this Australian setup.
Well, there's no reason why he shouldn't be. He's always picking up wickets. You see him in the big bash. He bowls the tough overs at the end of the innings, tough overs at the start of the innings. 2 players are going. The captain usually turns to Kane Richardson. So he's a high-quality performer that does the hard work. So when you're looking at your team and you're picking your team, he's the sort of guy you go, well, you know, I can give him the ball at any stage.
So the new batter, Shamika Kunaratne, comes out to the middle. Sri Lanka 5 for 87 in the 17th over. Shanaka at the other end on 23. Richardson 3 for 10 so far in his 3rd over. Comes in, bowls to Kunaratne, who works it on the onside. Wanted the quick single straight to Finch. He's sent back by Shanaka. In fact, it's McDermott who was doing the fielding at mid-wicket. So just a change in the field for the moment.
I think the change in the field was Josh Hazlewood got caught at backward point somehow. So
I think you're right.
He had the world's biggest backward point.
Yep.
And it's usually the hot spot on the field because the ball goes flying away there. So Aaron Finch picked it up quickly and said, oh, I probably need to move you from there.
He's now in his position at mid-off as Richardson comes in. Back of a length and looking to once more Kunaratne work it into that mid-wicket region, but straight to McDermott, who moves to the right to do the fielding. 5 for 87 in the 17th over.
And the ball just not coming onto the bat. Kunaratne is waiting for that, trying to turn it around towards the square leg umpire for a single. There's not enough pace. The wicket just slow.
There's backward square leg. 3rd man. Deep cover of the 3 outside the circle at the moment. Richardson comes in. Short. Kunaratne once more tries to hit hard, this time straight to mid-wicket where McDermott does the fielding. So first couple of balls tried the delicate touch. That time the patience had run out. I'm going to have a full swing at this one.
Went power that time, didn't he? Try and take it away over the top of mid-wicket. At worst, it's brought about a change in the field, change of bat.
Change in the bat.
I mean, not happy. Looks like the bat's broken from here. Looks like it's got a big bow in it. So, calling for a bat. This doesn't help your innings timer. 13 minutes to go, does it?
No.
Neither does the referrals. That can't be good. So,
I think they do work them in. Look at that. The 12th or 13th man has come racing in from the dugout with a bat. Almost like those SCG ground stuff when the rain falls.
Yeah.
Realised his time had come, so replaces the bat for Kunaratne, who's Well, had 3 goes at it, but hasn't been able to beat the fielder.
That bat's cactus.
Yep.
It's broken
in the middle.
Right through the middle. It'll be now firewood.
So we get a look, yeah, right on the middle of the bat. I'm not sure there was that much in it other than the swing and the click of the grip. Richardson in. Kunaratne this time is able to find a signal as he plays it out wide of extra cover. Thought about a second, although was quickly turned away as racing in from the deep was Marnus Stoinis, who probably is not going to get a bowl tonight. So another challenge of this Australian 11 as to which bowlers Aaron Finch uses.
Well, he's just got a luxury, hasn't he? He's just a luxury of options with the ball. Maxwell only bowling 1 over. Himself, Finch, he doesn't bowl. You see him in the big bash occasionally bowling left-arm orthodox. So, mind you, when you're captain, you don't really want to have a bowl. You've got all these other blokes. You can go and slog a few when it's your turn to bat. So, bowling, please, not today. But Australia blessed with some good all-rounders at the moment.
Richardson
changing
the field a bit here.
So the man's gone to deep mid-wicket, and the mid-wicket's gone to square leg inside the circle.
Last ball, the over from Richardson, wide to Shanaka, who hits it hard to mid-off, quickly through for the single. The throw would have been close. Hazelwood was wide. In the end, Shanaka almost got in a tangle with Richardson. The end of the over, Sri Lanka 5 for 89, with Shanaka on 24 and Kunaratne on 1.
Yeah, big Jossie Hazelwood moving sharply to his left, picking up, throwing in one motion. He would have been out. Old Shanaka just sort of not really trying to make his ground, just worried about not running into Kane Richardson. Not good cricket, that.
No, that was not good cricket. So Mitchell Starc's going to come back into the attack. It's bowled since the 9th over. It's bowled the 1st over, the 6th over, and the 9th over. So it's been interesting how Aaron Finch has decided to use his bowlers tonight. Starc yet to get a wicket so far, 3 overs, none for 21. The floodlights have taken over here at Manuka Oval. Great to see the variety in the shirts of the supporters. There's some old school Australia A stuff. There's some more current amongst the younger fans, and there's some of the Sri Lankan tops, which was great to see as well.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of variations. There's some big bash shirts out there as well, I can see.
So Mitchell Starc at the top of his mark. From the media centre end, the grandstand end here. Comes in, bowls to Shanaka, hits down the ground. Beautifully played over the top of Aaron Finch at mid-off for 4.
That's a lovely cricket shot. Nice and still, just maybe backed away fractionally to try and open up the offside of the ground. Hit beautifully through the line of the ball. Full swing of the bat, hands going after the ball. One bounce, crashes into the Gatorade boarding.
So Shanaka had 34 in the 2nd of the T20s, was run out by Steve Smith. Had the direct hit, he was looking to come back for the 2nd. Made just the 7 in the 1st one. 28 from 29, very much needing to try and lead this Sri Lankan total past 100, and how much more can they get in the 18th over? 5 for 93. Right-handed Shanaka waiting a full delivery from Mitchell Starc. He hits it down along the ground to Sams at long on, just for a single. Shanaka to 29.
Some nice timing there by Shanaka. We saw it in the T20 game. Oh, we saw it in the 2nd game, that once he got himself in, he could play some nice shots. So
Sri Lanka's 6th T20 captain in less than 4 years, so it's been a rotating chair. He gets the opportunity to try and do so, and so led the Sri Lankan side in the recent World Cup. And it's a younger Sri Lankan team, as opposed to some of the stars back in 2014 when they won the World Cup against India and Bangladesh. Mitchell Starc to Kunaratne, who steps across to the offside, watches it sail past his head. Good short ball.
Yeah, he just went a little bit early there, did Kunaratne. Just moved and gave Mitchell Starc the option to go halfway down the wicket, and really just was in such an awkward position, could not play a shot. It's important, this Sri Lankan team, they're very much building for the future. This team it's very inexperienced, but you sort of look 2 or 3 years ahead. If you can get some games into all of their players, there's some talent there. It's just, you can see it's the inexperience that's probably costing them at the moment.
Yeah, we haven't seen the best of Lanka on tour so far. Stark full delivery. Kunaratne whips it off his toes. Backward of square leg. He'll take off for a single. Once more, Marcus Stoinis rockets the throw in. Kunaratne to 2. Sri Lanka 5 for 95 in the 18th over. Did you travel to Sri Lanka much in your playing career?
You know, it's the only place in the whole of the cricketing world I didn't actually go to. For some, I don't know, I just always missed it, got injured, or there was never anything there. I've been everywhere. I went to Pakistan, I went to Bangladesh, India numerous times, you know, West Indies, England, just did not find my way to Sri Lanka.
Mitchell Starc, left arm over the wicket. Oh! Oi. A balloon ball, and Wade can't get it. That landed 2 feet in front of Matthew Wade. A no ball, a free hit, and something you're not going to see very often. Mitchell Starc completely lost it out of the hand.
Well, it looked like he was going to bowl a slow ball or something, and it just slipped right out of his hand. He doesn't look overly excited, Mitchell Starc. He looks a bit grumpy, to be fair.
A no ball for...
So I get the feeling he was going to bowl a slower ball. He was going to try and run his fingers down the outside of the ball, and as he got there, it's like the ball had a bit of soap on it. Yeah, you can see there, he's trying to bowl a slower ball.
Matthew Wade's reaction said it all. There was little he could do. Bowl that one again. 5 for 100. Starc comes in. Shanaka hits in the air through a vacant mid-wicket region. Just a single. Sams is so quick. Races in from the rope.
Such a good fielder, Daniel Sams. Quick across the ground. It was a great catch he took earlier to dismiss Nissanaka. Just getting a replay. 3 metres above the batters. That was 3 metres, that one. I don't think I've seen a ball that bad in a lot of years.
But you don't see a no ball 5 too often, do you?
Poor old Matty Wade, he nearly ate it at one stage.
He tried to throw his body at it. Didn't quite work.
Bounced up and hit him in the teeth.
5 for 101. 1 ball to come. Starc wider on the crease. Kunaratne chops down on it, plays it to mid-wicket. Sams does the fielding and a single to close the over. Kunaratne to 3, 5 for 102 with 2 overs to go.
Mitchell Starc, 4 overs for 34, hasn't picked up a wicket. Looked a little bit, again, just looks a little bit underdone in relation to his bowling. And you know, he had a game off. Has he done as much work? It's hard when you're travelling. You play, you travel, you play, you travel. So can he get the work into him that he needs to be consistent? And you watch Josh Hazlewood bowl, and it looks like because he's playing all the time, he's got good rhythm, got good technique, he's confident in his game. And then Mitchell Starc, and he looks like he's trying to find his way a little bit throughout the course of this match.
I guess the interesting part is Starc's one of the only bowlers who played every test.
Yeah, and that's...
Pat Cummins missed one, Josh Hazlewood missed, you know, the back end of the series.
The hard part is it doesn't actually take a lot for, not to lose form, but just to lose a little bit of confidence, because you're not doing it all the time. Like the batters, you know, Smith and Labuschagne, and you talk to them, you look at them, they hit balls all the time. They're always batting, they're always watching the ball. And you know, I know the workload management team would be like, well, hang on, you don't want to hurt yourself, but you actually need it to be good.
Kane Richardson's into the attack from the northern end. Kunaratne drops it onto the onside, quickly through for the single. Richardson turned, took a throw at the non-striker's end. His throw was wide to the right and was well backed up in the end by Mitchell Starc. Single to start the 19th over. Kunaratne to 4 from 8 deliveries. 5 for 103.
Slight change in the field now, different player, fine legs back, that square leg's going back next to the umpire. Aaron Finch is standing next to the wicket-keeper in a deep, very, very short third. Backward point coming up, so all the fielders in front, you've got 3 fielders behind the wicket, a cover, and the rest deep point, deep mid-wicket, deep mid-on, deep long off.
Kane Richardson in his final over, 3 for 13. Comes in, bowls to Shanaka, who swings at it away from his body, misses. This way he takes it behind the stumps. It's a bit of chat going on between Wade and Richardson.
Maxwell's sort of come running in from deep mid-on to try and talk to... They employed this field the other night where they had a man almost standing directly behind the non-striker on the circle. It was a really, really odd fielding position.
That was Sri Lanka, wasn't it? That had that fielding position, yeah. Saw that. Shanaka on 30, awaiting Richardson, looking to sweep. Is there a bottom edge? Matthew Wade thought so. I think it was the sound of the bat hitting the turf.
And Shanaka's sort of, this is what his innings is sort of, I suppose when you look at it, he plays some very, very nice shots and he crashes balls to the boundary. And then he also goes through periods where he tries to overthink the game, and you know, he's trying to hit the ball too hard, he's trying to play shots that are probably outside the scope of what he's good at. I'm sure at different stages in lesser bowling attacks he can do it, but it's not working here.
5 for 103. Shanaka hits hard down the ground. It's in the air. Maxwell races after it. He won't get there. Bounces just in front of him. They come back for 2. Shanaka's to 32. 5 for 105.
Maxwell was half a chance to go.
I thought he was going to make it.
The big Superman dive there, but he dropped
racing
2 catches.
Around from long off.
He dropped 2 catches the other night.
Yeah.
You very rarely see Glenn Maxwell drop 1 catch.
Yep.
Dropped 2 catches. 2 very simple on the boundary chances for him.
What will Shanaka do here? Will he stay with the power or try to use the ramp? He hits back down the ground, didn't quite time it. Got off the bottom of the bat, down to long off. They're going to try and come back for 2. Kunaratne called him through. Good batting. Good communication between the two of them. Shanaka was able to get back for 34 from 36 deliveries. 5 for 107 with 1 delivery to come in the 19th over.
Really good running that by Kunaratne. Because they can go, as soon as that back foot lands, they can go. They're running. No matter what happens, they're on their way. So very hard to run out at a batter at the non-striker's end.
Richardson comes in, wide outside the off stump. Shanaka hits straight over his head, down the ground. That's beautifully hit. As straight as they come. Shanaka finds the rope for 4. 38. 5 for 111.
It's a lovely
19 overs.
Lovely cricket shot there, nice and still. That's what I was trying to talk about. When he actually stands still, watches the ball and doesn't overthink where he's trying to hit it. He's got a very, very clean strike of the ball.
So 9 coming from that over from Kane Richardson. And Josh Hazlewood's going to bowl the final over from the Manica end.
You saw how good Josh Hazlewood is in the power play. I'd imagine he's going to go very similar tactics. Full and straight where he's go. Give the batter no length to work with. You don't want to bowl a step hit ball. They're going to get through. Innings timer says 1 minute to go. They've got to start the last over. That's a tick.
So Josh Hazlewood just making a couple of changes to the field. He wants fine leg to move round towards a sort of between fine leg and backward square. He's got protection on the onside. There's a deep mid wicket as Hazlewood comes in. Bowls to Kunaratne, who almost went back on towards his stumps.
Good delivery, Josh Hazlewood. Full, just outside off stump. No length to work with. Couldn't get underneath it. Replay here, just tailing in just before that crease line. Almost a perfect Yorker.
Ended up with one hand off the bat, trying to swing freely. Sri Lanka 5 for 111 in the final over. Hazlewood in to Kunaratne, hits hard, past Aaron Finch at mid-off, and that will find the boundary. Kunaratne to 8, 5 for 115.
Yeah, too good, unfortunately. Good shot, just got to the length. Aaron Finch, you sort of thought he was going to dive, but it was hit probably too powerfully and couldn't really get across to try and put a big dive in. Once you beat this infield here, it's very quick across the Manica surface. You can see they just didn't quite get the length right, Josh Hazlewood. Just that step hit length was there, and any player around the world.
Kunaratne 8 from 10. Hazlewood comes in, mix up a pace. It won't be. It will be out. The catch is taken. Inglis races back, takes it just outside the 30-yard circle as he was looking to hit it once more down the ground. Got a leading edge, and the catch has taken an extra cover. So Kunaratne goes for 8. Sri Lanka 6 for 115 with 3 balls to come.
Yeah, trying to take it long. Time to get on with it. Hazlewood, again, that full length. Just a little bit quicker, perhaps, from Josh Hazlewood, and missed time, skewed away. Pretty simple catch to Inglis. Just outside the circle at cover. Sri Lanka, unfortunately, now lose their 6th wicket for 115. Imagine if they can get to about 120, 125, that's going to be it.
There's only been 2 previous T20s at Manica Oval back in 2019. Pakistan 6 for 150. Australia chased that down, just 3 down in the 19th over, 3 for 151. And back in December, India 7 for 161, defeated Australia 7 for 150. So sort of scores are around that sort of 150, 160. So Sri Lanka are going to be well short of that.
Yeah, you feel as though it's not enough.
Even on a wicket that may be a little bit slow. 35 balls. Sri Lanka weren't able to find the boundary. Shanaka's on strike, hits down the ground. It's just over the head of Maxwell as he looked to cross bat it down the ground. He didn't time it very well, and in the end, Hazlewood, if he had have stuck his left mid up, might have been half a chance. But
amazing piece of placement that it's gone over Hazlewood's head. Hasn't really carried to mid-off. Probably didn't even get to the umpire. He scampered through for a single. Good placement.
Dushmatha Chamira is the new batter out in the middle. He'll face the second last ball of the innings. Sri Lanka 6 for 116. Shanaka on 39. Hazlewood 1 for 26 as he comes in. Past the umpire, slower ball. Chamira hits it down the ground. One bounce over the rope for 4.
Chamira, stand, deliver. Welcome to the crease.
Get him up the order. 6 for 120 with 1 ball to come in the innings.
Just planted his foot and bang, straight back down the ground. See here, nice and still, good bat swing, down on one knee. Just timed it beautifully, didn't he?
He did. And as opposed to some of the other shots we've seen throughout the innings, seemed to just use the momentum of his weight and execute it pretty well. Last ball of the innings. Hazlewood to Chamira, bottom edge as he hits it through mid-wicket. Quickly takes off for the first. Sams comes racing in. Chamira wanted a second. Shanaka wasn't interested.
What was Shanaka doing there? They've got to try and run 2 at the end. Surely.
I thought so.
Surely.
We've got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Oh, well, anyway, Sri Lanka unfortunately all out. Their 20 overs is up. 6 for 121. Sri Lanka remains 39 off 38. And Chamira, well, he got 5 off 2 with a lusty blow off his first ball straight back down the ground. And you sort of think that 121 isn't going to be enough on a surface that's not 100% conducive for power hitting, but certainly you'd imagine 121 will be achievable if the Australians bat well. We're expecting a little bit of moisture on the surface, a little bit of dew a little bit later on, which will help quicken up the pitch. But look, it's a pretty regulation chase here, you would have thought, for the Australians if they bat well.
So Sri Lanka was sent in after Australia won the toss and elected to bowl. There was 3 changes for the Australians, with Daniel Sams, Ashton Agar and Mitchell Starc coming in for Pat Cummins, Steve Smith and Adam Zampa. 2 changes for Sri Lanka, with Mendes and Van der Sey in for Avishka Fernando and Hasaranga, who is unfortunately out through COVID. Unfortunately for the visitors, it didn't get away to a good start. Gunnatilla was out, Court Hazlewood bowled Richardson out for 9. That was in the 3rd over, the first of 2 quick wickets for Kane Richardson, who then picked up Asalanka in that same over, who was out for 6. Court Wade bowled Richardson for 6. At that stage, Sri Lanka were 2 for 35. Mendes was out, caught and bowled to Ashton Agar for 4. They were 3 for 38 in the 6th over. Pathum Nissanka was one of their best in the early stages. It was eventually caught by Sams, bowled by Maxwell for 16. So 4 for 40 in the 8th over. And then Chandimal was out for 25, bowled by Richardson, 5 for 87. Kunaratna in that final over. Court Inglis bowled Hazlewood out for 8. And Shanaka finishes on 39, not out. And Chamira in that final over finishes on 5. So 6 for 121 from the 20 overs for the Australians. Kane Richardson, the best of the bowlers, 4 overs, 3 for 21. Josh Hazlewood, his 4 overs, 1 for 31. Mitchell Starc, none for 30 from his 4. Daniel Sams, 3 overs, none for 18. Ashton Agar, 4 overs, 1 for 14. And Glenn Maxwell, 1 over, 1 for 3. So 121 doesn't quite feel like enough. Stewie Clark has Australia lead 2-0 in this T20 series.
Yeah, you feel as though 121 is not enough on this surface. But that said, you know, the Australians have got a bat. If you can pick up a couple of early wickets, knock over the likes of Finch, and then get into the middle order of Maxwell, McDermott.
So we're led to believe Ashton Agar and McDermott are going to open.
Yeah.
Finch is going to bat at 3. Stat doing the rounds that for the 86 times Aaron Finch has played in T20 internationals, only 7 times has he batted outside of the opening 2.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, and whether that's just to give Ashton Agar a hit at the top of the order, given the series is pretty much, you know, if they win here, they're home and they've got plenty of power. But I would have thought Aaron Finch, he hasn't got the runs he would have liked in recent times in international cricket, but certainly a big ask or a big call not to have him at the top of the order.
It's still David Warner and Mitch Marsh to come back into this side ahead of the World Cup later in the year, so it'll be interesting to see what their best 11 looks like.
Well, they're just blessed with players, aren't they, the Australians? Maybe it's a trial. There's not many games after this series before that World Cup, so to try players, see how players go, give them the opportunity to perform on the big stage. Maybe that's the plan here, but it's certainly something a bit different. I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised.
The thoughts of Stuart Clark, joined tonight by Dirk Nannes, Quentin Hull alongside Matt Clinch. So Australia will be chasing 122 for victory. We'll pause from Monica Oval and get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. The Foreign Minister is again urging Australian citizens to leave Ukraine, warning commercial flights could be further restricted. Maurice Payne says it's difficult to know exactly how many Australians are in the country, but around 200 people are registered with the federal government. More than 100,000 Russian troops have been deployed to the Ukraine border in recent weeks. Senator Payne has told Nine Radio the advice to Australian citizens is clear.
There are growing restrictions on commercial flights, and that is why we said weeks ago that Australians should leave then. Those growing restrictions are only going to increase if the Russian aggression grows.
The world number 1 male tennis player Novak Djokovic says he believes the freedom in making health decisions is more important than any tennis title. In an exclusive interview with the BBC, Novak Djokovic says he's not vaccinated against COVID-19 and is willing to sit out tournaments that require players to be inoculated. Djokovic was reported from Australia last month after a visa granted on medical grounds was cancelled by the immigration minister. He's told the BBC he understands there's been frustration towards him from the Australian public.
As much as I love the country, you know, and I've always looked forward to go to Australian summer and participate in Australian Open, it was a very difficult decision for me because I understood that with the decision that I made, there's going to be consequences.
The ex-wife of Ben Roberts-Smith has told a court she isn't taking part in his defamation trial to get revenge. Kathleen Calderwood reports.
Emma Roberts has been called as a witness by 3 newspapers which are being sued for defamation by her ex-husband. Ben Roberts-Smith denies allegations of war crimes, bullying and domestic violence published in 2018. Under cross-examination, Ms Roberts insisted she wasn't after revenge against her ex-husband. She denied she wanted to see Mr Roberts-Smith lose the case and inflict damage on him, saying, "I hope Ben survives this nightmare." Ms Roberts said she wasn't being sneaky and dishonest when asking her best friend to check the former couple's shared email account during the course of their separation.
Australia Post has paid a staff member more than $500,000 to ensure they didn't leave the organisation. Additional cash was offered to one executive member and 4 senior managers in 3 payments spread out over a number of years. Under questioning at Senate estimates, Australia Post couldn't confirm how much was handed over in total, but said at least one person was offered over $500,000, and CEO Paul Graham has defended the decision.
It was appropriate to retain those people. These skills are very, very difficult to find, both in the Australian market and indeed in the international market. They were being coaxed away by a major competitor, and I felt that the damage that their departure would have done would have been significant.
The General Secretary of the New South Wales Nurses and Midwives Association says staff have come to the end of their tolerance levels. Thousands of nurses and midwives spent the day demanding better working conditions as the pandemic continues to push the sector to its limits, with protests across New South Wales, including at State Parliament. It defied an order by the Industrial Relations Commission to call off the protests, Brett Holmes says staff are at breaking point.
Unless there is hope for the future about a better staffing system, then far too many of those wonderful nurses and midwives will be walking away from those professions, and our health system will deteriorate into a much worse position than it already is in.
The Victorian opposition is welcoming a move to reinvestigate Labor's so-called red shirt scandal if new evidence comes to light. Ombudsman Deborah Glass says she'll consider a referral from Parliament's upper house to take another look at the scheme, which saw Labor use taxpayer-funded electorate staff to campaign ahead of the 2014 election. Last week, the Labor MP, Kashalia Vagela, crossed the floor to support the former Minister Adam Somyurek's motion. Shadow Treasurer David Davis claims new evidence has emerged.
We welcome the decision of the Ombudsman to take these steps. We believe there is an urgent need for this investigation. We also believe that the IBAC should expand its investigation to cover all parts of the ALP.
And the Trump Organisation says it's disappointed by the decision of the accounting company Mazars to stop working on behalf of the business. Mazars says financial statements prepared for the former president's business group covering the 10 years to 2020 are no longer reliable. ABC News.
Ready for some new adventures? Back Roads is back. From the macho mining town of Tom Price in WA to outback Queensland and Tasmania's Cradle Mountain, join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Back Roads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio and on the ABC Listen app.
Richardson bowls to the left-hander, who rams him without success, straight to fine leg inside the circle, and Hazelwood takes an elementary catch. And the first ball that Kane Richardson delivers in Canberra, he picks up a wicket. The left-hander, Dashanka Gunatilaka, gone for 9. It's 1 for 17. So Richardson started with a wicket. He's been hit for 6. His next delivery is a wicket, edging Lanka to keep it weighed. And Richardson's got 2 wickets in the over, and Sri Lanka is 2 for 23.
Ashton Agar with the left arm around the wicket, hit back straight to him, and Agar takes the catch. Welcome back to T20 cricket, Ashton Agar. And Mendez, a frustrating way to go. He's out for 4. Sri Lanka, all of a sudden, a 3 for 38. Around the wicket, Maxwell. Big shot from Nasanka. Has he got the distance? No! Caught on the rope. Sams with an excellent catch, lunging to his right. It was awkward because he had to deal with the fence. And Nasanka has to go. Gone for 16. And Sri Lanka are 4 for 40 in the 8th over. So Kane Richardson in from the pool end. Bowl into Chandimal. Full delivery. He's bowled in. Cannon into the bottom of off stump. Richardson with a bit of a shake of the shoulder as he was able to execute perfectly. And Chandimal's out for 25. Sri Lanka 5 for 87. Comes in, bowls to Shanaka, hits down the ground. Beautifully played over the top of Aaron Finch at mid-off for 4. Richardson comes in, wide outside the off stump. Shanaka hits straight over his head, down the ground. That's beautifully hit. As straight as they come. Shanaka finds the rope for 4. Gunaratne 8 from 10. Hazelwood comes in, mix up a pace. It won't be, it will be out. The catch is taken. Inglis races back, and the catch has taken an extra cover. So Gunaratne goes for 8. Sri Lanka 6 for 115. Hazelwood to Shamira, bottom edge as he hits it through mid-wicket. Quickly takes off for the first. Sams comes racing in. Shamira wanted a second. Shanaka wasn't interested.
And you sort of think that 121 isn't going to be enough.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio and on the ABC Listen app.
The sounds of Sri Lanka's first innings here as Australia now leads 122 to claim this T20 series. Welcome back to Manuka Oval in Canberra. Quentin Hull along with Dirk Nannis, Matt Clinch and Stewie Clark, your team, with the Aussies opting to chase. And it's not a huge number that they're after. 6 for 121 for the Sri Lankans, with Shanaka top scoring with an unbeaten 39 from 38 deliveries. Next best was Chandimal with 25 from 29. And yet again, a pretty complete bowling performance from the Australians, with Kane Richardson getting the numbers tonight. 3 for 21 from his 4 overs. Not too far away from the chase. Dirk Nannes on this night where we've seen a few different things from the Australians. No Cummins or Zampa. Steve Smith also out nursing a sore head. So Daniel Sams has done his bit. There's been some talk that Ashton Agar may be batting at the top of the order. I'm keenly looking at the bench, Dirk. I see Aaron Finch out there. I'm not quite sure who he's opening the batting with, but anyway, 1-2-2 required.
There's only one person talking about it, isn't it? And that's Matt Clinch in the commentary box.
I actually saw a headline on the Cricket Australia website about it as well.
Aaron Finch.
The headline reads, Agar recalled to open batting. So it's not just Clinchy.
Okay. McDermott and Finch have had it up and down in the dugout at the moment. Yeah, it's a...
Whether he's got double A's for his initials and they thought, well, he's got to be at the top of the order, alphabetically speaking. It
is a strange one. I'm not sure why you would go down that path. Certainly unusual. This is going to be a strange chase because you think, on one hand, it's a runner ball and should be easy, and you'll get one of the openers or one of the top 3 to be the bit of a bolter, I guess, and get out there and really get the chase ahead of the rate. But the way this pitch has been playing, it's kind of got 7 for 120 in 17 overs, sort of scraping by and just getting there.
7.
It just doesn't look as easy as what it might seem if you're just looking at the scoreboard and seeing 121 in the chase, required in the chase. Just this pitch is propping and holding up, and it does look difficult to drive, and we saw a lot of miscues going straight down the ground, and that's generally speaking where a lot of these Australian batsmen score heavily, and that's straight back over the bowler's head or straight down the ground, so it's difficult.
We've seen the first indication from the selection panel tonight that there are going to be a few things tried in the relatively short run-in to the World Cup, which will be held here in Australia beginning on October the 16th. And we're just having a bit of a chat off air. It was the tried and true, and there was only one change through the entirety of the tournament in the Emirates that Australia won. So how does Australia get better? Do you go to the well with that group again, or does something need to be found that's a little different in this changing world of T20 cricket?
I don't think so. I think Australia picked their best players to play in home conditions, which is actually going to be remarkably similar to what we played in the UAE. Yeah, they might not be as spin heavy. You might not be playing 2 spinners at a time in these conditions, but I mean, who else to come in? Maybe McDermott. Who else?
I'll throw one at you, and it's an experience that you've lived. Someone who's played for an associate nation might now be able to play for a full nation. They met with 2 first names from Singapore, Western Australia, Hobart Hurricanes, and Tim David, if you don't mind, off to the IPL for the richest price of those auctioned. Of course, Glenn Maxwell headed the list with his 2 million and Marcus Stoinis 1.7 with their pre-purchase at RCB and Lucknow respectively. But Tim David's 1.5 and hasn't really even been thought of in Australian circumstances.
His selection in the IPL was a really interesting one, and I guess he comes in that mould of the way Maxwell's used in the IPL, in that he's someone who can come in and strike at 200 from the very first ball he faces. So he's someone that that can come in late in an innings and not take 3 or 4 balls to get going. He comes out and can whack the first ball for 6. And that is a really valuable skill to have in the IPL. And there aren't that many batsmen around the world who can actually do it. So that's the value of picking someone like him in an IPL auction. Now that's the reason that someone like an AB de Villiers is so valuable, because he comes down, he can come in the 11th over, he can come in the 17th over and just go crazy right from ball 1. There aren't that many people who can do it. So it's a very specific role that he is selected to fulfill. Now, how many of those people can you carry in your side? I don't think you pick 5, 6, 7 and 8 who can do that necessarily, because it's sort of that boom or bust sort of cycle that they can have. So I don't think there's necessarily space for him.
Sorry, I've just distracted you. Ashton Agar's ready to open the batting.
All right. Well,
so we're going to see something different here tonight. Ashton Agar will open the batting with, I think, Ben McDermott. They're the two guys standing at the rope.
I'd love to know.
Aaron Finch is still sitting on the bench.
I'd love to know the chat around that.
Left-right combo.
Do you have Ashton Agar at the top just to say, go for it? Get up there, have a swing, see how you go. Or is it a more long-term considered approach to get him at the top? I'd probably rather see someone with a bit more opening pedigree to do it on a long-term basis.
Is Australia telling us, OK, we might just enter the realm of let's go for, you know, we've got one to burn in the first 6 overs. If he comes off, he comes off. If not, so be it. And Agar might be the guy.
Could well be.
So Ben McDermott is going out there with Ashton Agar to open the batting for Australia.
Like a Sunil Narayan. The way he has been used in recent years, he opens the batting in, for a period there, he opened the batting in IPL cricket. They just chucked him to the top and he didn't face many dot balls. And it was actually ended up being of value because if he went out, he didn't waste many balls doing it.
And it ensures that despite the excellence of Aaron Finch's white ball career, his Achilles heel of the moving white ball early, he doesn't have to face the first little bit of it. Just we're reaching for reasons, aren't we?
Yeah, this is the best fun of this job, when you start hypothesising when you really have no idea.
So Ben McDermott's going to be on strike, and Tekshana, the spinner, is going to open up from the Monica end. The men in the deep are at long on and deep backward square, and Australia needs 122 to claim the series in 3 games. So Ben McDermott, leading run scorer in the BBL, but overlooked on a couple of occasions in the IPL auction. Doesn't have a gig in the big T20 franchise tournament in the subcontinent. There's a slip, though. And Tekshana is going to try and see if he can get some grip. Bowling right arm over the wicket. McDermott edges and is caught at first slip, first ball. Australia 1 for naught. A golden gobbler for Ben McDermott. On your way.
That's a stunning delivery first up. And a tough one to play because it's a good length. He had to play it.
Well, there you go. Here comes Aaron Finch to face the second ball. McDermott, a first ball duck. And Tekshana, delighted.
That's a beautiful delivery. Just taking it away a fraction from the right-hander. And the way that ball's coming down to you in the air, it doesn't actually look like it's turning that much. It doesn't look like there's many revs on the ball at all. Wonderful delivery, just that little finger spinner.
Lanka, the man who pocketed the catch. Well, when you've got only 121 in the bank, Sri Lanka certainly needs a few of those in the first 6 overs to give us a contest, you'd think.
We didn't get to do it.
You might be onto something with this 7 for 120 in 18 overs. Is that what you were saying?
I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think it might be.
Slip stays in place.
I still think it's not enough. But
deep mid-wicket and deep square are out now. For the Australian captain, second ball, Tekshana delivers. He digs it out. Full and quicker delivery towards the stumps.
It's a wonderful first 2 deliveries. This ball almost looked like it was swinging into Aaron Finch. Bang on the money. That's exactly the ball that you want to bowl to Aaron Finch as well, first up.
He's one of these franchise fillers, Tekshana. CSK got him for about 130 grand in the IPL auction. He bowls to Finch here again, full. And we're getting some excellent commentary from Chandimal in the stump mic. He hits it straight back to the bowler.
This drift is fantastic. It's just almost like a Chaminda Vase type ball where it's 110k swinging in to the right-hander. Great bowling.
21-year-old wearing away. Finch at 1 for naught gets a run. And he might get a couple. Tickled it between fine leg and deep square, who are both inside the circle. Won't go to the rope. Back for 2. Australia 2 for 1. 1 for 2, depending on which part of the world you're listening to us. 4 balls down.
I like that phrase that you use there, franchise filler.
You like that one? Should we bring that into the lexicon? Well, he's, you know...
Bordering on netballer when you say that.
Oh, no, it's a respectful term. Again, Chandamal, very happy. Forward comes Finch and defends him. Well, you know what it's like. It's those guys that, you know, they've obviously got international pedigree. There's no way you're going to spend big money on it. But it's like, oh, well, what a bargain. Here's a guy. We've just seen the kind of variety he brings, and he costs only $130,000. He bowls to Finch. That's a wrong one, which pushes him back, and he defends from the crease. Tell you what, he's looking good value at the moment for mine at 130 grand for Chennai. And that is the end of a successful opening over, 1 for 2, with McDermott out, nicking off to slip first ball for a duck.
That ball swung a mile in towards Aaron Finch and then spun in as well, or nipped back in. What a challenge that is.
Franchise filler is a respectful term, by the way.
Hey, don't get me wrong. Franchise filler is a great gig to get in an IPL franchise.
If you're not playing, what do you do?
Well, you're a net bowler. Like we said.
So we've gone from Shana to now the slinger. Tashara is coming into the attack. The man with this very Lasith Malinga type release. First time that I've got to see him live. Well, we haven't seen a lot of him at all, just his second one-day T20 international. So Agar, who opened the batting, and he's still, now gets to face a ball. First ball of the second over, there's a slip. The men are at deep mid-wicket and deep backward square. Oh, Tashara with a full toss, peck height, and pushed by Agar on the bump to cover. It's a no ball. Wow. So that's gone basically from peck to peck. It's released from around the nipple line and went nipple line to Agar.
Oh, yuck. I guess the fortunate thing for Agar here is that's not straight at the body. So I don't actually think he got warned for it either.
So free hit. If you're going to open the batting, this is what you're going to get. 122 the target, 1 for 3.
Not normally.
Tashara runs in, hits Agar on the pad, beat him for pace. He'll get a leg by as it balloons out to point, and Finch calls him through. 1 for 4. Good Jets. I'm just trying to find. We've got a radar around. Certainly beat him for pace. Or even maybe just the trajectory. And of course, on cue, host broadcaster zeroes in on the orange-tipped great man, Lasith Malinga. But here's the new era. 27 years of age, Nuwan Tashara, showing us something different. The Australian captain now on strike. 136, by the way. We just got the call. Certainly looks different. Looks pretty slick. Over the wicket, bowling to Finch. Beaten! And through to the keeper, untouched.
It is eerily similar to Lasith Malinga, but it is a different bowling action. He's not quite as sidearm as Lasith Malinga. And he bustles into the wicket a fraction more than Malinga does. Malinga kind of ambled in and had really short steps in his run-up. Tashara just does have a bit more of a sprint about it.
4-2 in the infield, offside, onside for Finch. There's a slip as well, who now, well, Finch steps away just as Tashara was about to leap into his delivery stride.
A dirty big moth coming straight across the middle of the pitch. It's massive as well. It's almost like a bird. What is that thing?
Is it a grasshopper? A really big grasshopper? I don't think it's a moth.
I think had that big. They're not. The wings aren't.
Hey, look, I'm from southern New South Wales stock. I know that this is the ACT, but you know, similar geography. You get some big stick insects around here, particularly in warm days. We've had a pretty warm day here. Tashara tries again to Finch, who dabs on the offside and says no as it's fielded at backward point. by Mendes. It's not a big target, 122, but we've got some energy about the first phases of it, Dirk Nannes.
And the ball's moving around. We still haven't seen that variable bounce. We've seen that the pitch is slow in this second innings, but we haven't seen the variable bounce necessarily that we saw that captured a few of the Sri Lankan wickets. So I think this chase is going to be a bit of a handful. Still, I still maintain it should be relatively easy, but it's not as easy as it might look.
Tashara to Finch. Gets it very fine down the leg side for a boundary. Was there inside edge or is it leg byes? No, it's a very fine leg lance to the Australian captain. Those 4 runs will be credited to he. He moves to 6 and Australia 1 for 8 in the second over.
I think the challenge for Sri Lanka is going to be if this ball stops moving around and they start bowling poor deliveries like that, that'll quickly turn the game on its head.
Finch tapping away, looking at Tashara at that pool end. It's now a gorgeously dark night, full moon. Not many clouds, sorry, not many stars. There's a bit of cloud cover up there. Full ball, Finch digs it out, gets a single. Tap and run on the defensive jam out to the covers. Popping crease length there from Tashara, 1 for 9. But we're just getting some vision of his action, Dirk. Try and describe it for our listeners.
Picture Lasith Malinga, basically. The ball... Lasith Malinga had a lot more of a wind-up in terms of his bowling arm, almost going out to, if you imagine a right-arm batsman, sort of out to point. So almost a bit more of a wind-up, and that's probably one of the secrets of why Lasith Malinga was such a handful.
Now Agar faces Tashara. Hit on the pad, big appeal for LBW. Not out, says the umpire. And they take a run, a leg by to backward square. 1 for 10. Are they going to review? No, that's the end of the over. 1 for 10, McDermott out for a first ball duck. 122 is the target.
So if you like, it's almost a mix of someone with a conventional action and a Lasith Malinga. So not quite as unconventional as that. Still eerily similar, like I said earlier. But yeah, it just doesn't quite get that bowling arm all the way wrapped around the back. And you probably have a better indication as a batsman of where and when that ball's going to come out of his hand. Lasith Malinga was so unusual in that he was sort of the first of his kind to bowl with this real round arm slingy action. A lot of people had no idea where to actually look to see the ball. But often it was said you need to look at the umpire's hat, which is where the hand came.
Shana continues. He's around the wicket to Agar, who drags him down to mid-on, won't get a run. Yeah, the release point is very much over the stumps.
Yeah,
for the slinger. Now we're getting the variety of Nahesh Takshana around the wicket to Agar, who cuts, but is well fielded at point. Nice piece of work from Mendes, preventing a run.
Agar now still hasn't gotten off the mark. He's faced 5 balls.
Still a slip in, but now change of angle over the wicket to Agar. Hustles on him. He's back in the crease and jams out a single to mid-wicket. Not a convincing stroke, but a run nonetheless for Ashton, the opener, Agar, to get away.
Still love to know their reasoning behind having him open the batting. Is it left or right hand? Combination at the top. In that case, do you go to a Matthew Wade to open the batting?
Finch now faces Thikshana and turns him on the onside. Yes, is the call. Agar responsive, and he gets through in time for a very cheeky infield single.
I can only think it's almost like a pinch hitting role. Unless you're giving him a bit of experience, I'll just go out there and have a bat.
Yeah, well, Obviously, David Warner's the regular opener, bats left-handed, not playing this series. Matthew Wade's available, but has become really good in that middle to lower order, a different role that he plays for Australia compared to the Hurricanes. As Theekshana to Agar again. He's stuck on the crease, Agar, and playing it off his pads out to deep mid-wicket along the ground for a single. He's now on to 2. It's 1 for 13. 1 ball left in the 3rd over. Well, certainly I don't think Australia was expecting to be getting this type of spin first up. Maybe we've seen Agar hit very well, particularly for the Scorchers. As Finch faces the last ball of the over, swings, misses. Stumps are broken, not out. Excitement all around, but it's a dot. That's 3 down, 1-2 to the target. Australia 1 for 13.
Aaron Finch there, I think you saw almost that length surprised him and gave him the idea, geez, I've really got to whack this ball because the field's so uptight on the offside. No man out. Probably thought he could try and cash in and get a 4, but no, another player miss.
And interestingly, are getting another over from Dasara. So the Australians used, well, 4 different bowlers for the opening 4 overs. 4 Hazelwood and Stark got another in the power play. Somewhat conventional stuff here from Sri Lanka with the slinger to continue from the pool end to the left-handed West Aussie. Agar slashes through the covers for 4. Width and well-timed, piercing the gap between point and cover.
Genuinely poor ball. It's the second one he's bowled that's just been a genuine 4 ball, like that one down leg side to Aaron Finch in the first over. I think Australia bowled a different bowler every bowl. No bowler got 2 in a row.
Stark, Hazelwood, Richardson
till the 12th.
Sams, Hazelwood, Stark. Agar, yeah, there was 2 over gap. Oh no, then Agar bowled 10 and 12.
Yeah. 10, 12, 14. And aside from that, no one bowled 2 in a row. Kane Richardson, 17.
Oh, 17, 19, yeah, for Richardson.
Oh, and we've got some.
Oh, he's done his side.
Mischief.
Well, this is really disappointing. And, well, speaking of which, if you weren't around the news of last night, Michael Neser, of course, among the test squad that's been picked to go to Pakistan, he only bowled a couple of balls in the 50-over game that New South Wales beat Queensland in, a rain-affected game at the Gabba last night. And Aussie Mick, as he's affectionately known around the Bulls, he had to leave the field. So hopefully that's got no further ramifications for his quest to add to his 1 test. But, well, that's the end of the slinger. It was fun while it lasted. What do you reckon? 7 balls. Now he's pinged aside by the look.
That's a shocking injury to have as well.
Yeah, just a lower sort of back, more so. What a shame.
Sri Lankan physio Brett Harrop, who was a Victorian contracted player for a number of years.
So who have we got? Karuna Ratner to come in. Right arm over. Agar walks at him and then leaves a wideish delivery outside the off stump. A legal ball through to the keeper untouched.
Side strain's a terrible injury to have because they can just be so niggly and persist for a long time. And you can, the first few nights that you have one, it can be tough to laugh or to roll over in your sleep. It almost feels like someone's just stabbed you in the side, essentially, if you've done it bad enough. Really uncomfortable injury to have. And then after that initial discomfort, it quietens down.
Karuna Ratner has Agar swinging and missing. Liked the length, went for the big bang down the ground and missed it through to the keeper.
You can go on with normal life and it's as though you're not injured. So you can go on and do just about everything that you would normally do. It's just the specific skill of bowling a cricket ball that hurts. Such a unique injury that you would never get in any other trade.
And how long does it take to get your confidence back?
Oh, that's the hardest thing to do. To really trust yourself to bowl genuinely fast that's the very last thing to come, and that takes a lot longer than you think. After, let's say you've done it badly and it's a 10-week injury, that last 5% of your power takes probably 3 or 4 of those weeks to get back.
Karuna Ratner to Agar. Off pace, short, mistimed on the pull, no one at mid-wicket. His fine leg and mid-on are the only fielders inside the circle, and Agar gets away with it with a single. He moves to 7. It's 1 for 18.
Interestingly, and we've been talking IPL a little bit. So I played at Bangalore one year, and this is the year that Chris Gayle didn't get picked up. So it's the first year he didn't get picked up in the IPL. This would have been 2010, 11 maybe, 2011. And so he didn't have a contract. I ripped my side off the bone the second game of the IPL, and they picked Chris Gayle to replace me out of the player pool.
Karunaratne bowling to Finch. He's trying to turn it down the leg side, doesn't get much of it, and Chandimal dives to his left to keep it in the keeper's gloves. No run. 1-4 on the Jack Fingleton scoreboard. 18, 122 the target.
So once someone's ruled out for the tournament, you can replace them, and that person has to be out of this, the auction pool basically at the start of the tournament. So Chris Gayle got picked up, and that was the year that he turned up to Bangalore and went 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, ended up smashing all the records.
Karunaratne to Finch turning on the onside. They'll take a single to mid-wicket. Finch to 9, 1 for 19. That's the end of the 4th over.
And so it seems that in India, that's one of the only things that I'm actually known for, is that I was the person that got injured that allowed Chris Gayle to get picked up for Bangalore. And then suddenly, you know, he was on millions for years and absolutely dominated IPL cricket. But it's fascinating that a player of that sort of ilk doesn't get picked up.
Off to the ski slopes with you for Universe Boss to come back in.
Yeah. So I guess in saying that, even though these players haven't been picked up, there's still a chance that there's an injury or a player misses out, or they get selected for an international tour, or whatever they get picked for. Or, you know, a nation recalls their players early for a camp or something like that. That's when these players get picked up.
A third over in the power play for Tashara. He has Finch in the back foot cutting, but straight to cover point. No run. If you just joined us, Ben McDermott out first. Ball caught at first slip by Lanka off the bowling of Tashara. McDermott opening the innings with Agar after Sri Lanka was sent in and made 6 for 121. Tashara whirring away. Kept low. Finch turns it through the onside. No one in the infield at mid-wicket. The sweeper comes off the rope. Mendes does the fielding, and the skipper takes 1 to move to 10. It's 1 for 20.
As difficult as Australia are finding it at the moment, I think they're doing a reasonable job. They lost that wicket off the first ball of the innings, but at least they're not losing their head in trying to attack and trying to get ahead of the rate. I think in time that it's going to get a little bit easier when the ball isn't moving as much.
Agar slogs beyond the rope at Cow corner for 6. Tashara coming around the wicket, and it was in the swinging arc of the left-hander. That's why he's opening the innings. Bang. First 6 of the night for Australia, and it's Ashton Agar moving Australia to 1 for 26. He moves to 13.
I just think eventually that there are going to be these opportunities to score like there was there. And it's that sort of step hit length, that length that's just almost a perfect throwdown.
2 out in the deep in that region now. Tashara around the wicket. An appeal for LBW. A beseechment. No. Chandimal is still down there with his glove pointed to the umpire. Not out's the call, but Sri Lanka will refer.
The bowler straight away went to the captain as soon as the umpire, Craig, turned down the appeal. He went straight away over to the captain and said, refer. Without question, refer.
So these are these carom balls that flicked out of the index fingers. It's unique stuff. Now, pitching in line and straightening. If he hasn't hit that, he's in T-rubble. He has to have hit it or he's gone by the looks of it. That's had, well, it's almost like it's seamed.
You've got to give that live, don't you?
Well, he must have thought he hit it.
There's certain dismissals, though, that, you know, there's umpiring decisions that you give not out that you kind of think, I can see why he's given that not out.
Flat line on RTS.
This one just looked out.
Yeah. We're not right behind the bowler's
Pitching in
arm.
line, impact in line, going on to hit the wickets.
And the review successful for Sri Lanka. Ashton Agar is out, LBW. Tikshana has a second wicket. And, well, 122 still looks a little tricky for Australia at 2 for 26 in the 5th over as Agar departs LBW for 13.
It's just one of those ones that you think, yeah, that's out. It's just out. You can't give that not out. Straightening down the line, well bowled. Now Glenn Maxwell comes out, and isn't it exciting when you have someone like Maxwell coming to the crease and you've got no idea what you're going to see?
Yeah. Clinch is about to come in a moment. I just wanted to finish that thought, because I reckon this is a story that will develop, the one about Michael Neser. I haven't heard too much out of Queensland today, but if Michael Neser is going to go to Pakistan, in a couple of weeks, and you mentioned, so the side strain, he was off pretty quickly last night. That might force a change to Australia's plans for that tour.
Yes.
At least to the squad.
Depends how serious it is.
Yeah.
You can have different, it can be okay after a few weeks.
Tikshana to Maxwell. Edges and is dropped, is it? It's gone past first slip. Willing to give the benefit of the doubt to Asalanka. Down to the third man boundary for 4. If it's dropped, it took a nail. He probably had the right to get his hands closer. But what are you getting from Glenn Maxwell first up? A streaky nick past first slip for 4. Here's the replay. Oh, yeah, it's dropped. It's gone through the hands. Maxwell dropped first ball. Wouldn't that have been something? 3 for 30, 3 for 26.
That would have been a stunning catch, because it was a reflex. He knew it was coming. He kind of got down on his knees, ready for a ball to come.
Tikshana to Maxwell. Plays from deep in his crease through mid-wicket and gets to the non-strikers with a single. He's 5 and Australia 2 for 31. That is the end of the 5th over. More from Dirk Nannes coming up. 122 the target for Australia, and Matt Clinch to describe it for you.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Q. In comparison, Sri Lanka after 5 overs are 2 for 30, so it's relatively line ball. You need to try and get a few more wickets to put a bit of pressure back on this dominant Australian batting order. Hello, Dirk. Nice to be back alongside you.
Good to be with you again, Clinchy.
He may have replaced Chris Gale in the IPL, but can he ever replace you in the Mogul commentary position? I wouldn't have thought so.
No, it's fair to say that's probably not a sport he plays. What would be his alternate commentary gig?
You probably know him a bit better than I do, it's fair to say.
I don't think he has any other interest, does he? Sleep.
Gaining possessions. Dushmata Chamira into the attack from the pull end. He bowls to Glenn Maxwell, who beautifully played this off his hip, backward of square for 4. So having been dropped from the first ball, he's making the most of it now. He moves to 9 from 3 deliveries. Australia 2 for 35 in the 6th over.
Again, they can ill afford these looseners. That's fast enough delivery, but genuine 4-ball on Glenn Maxwell's legs. It's not going to miss out on them.
Chamira's bowled well. 2 for 30 in the second T20, 2 for 38 in the first, but needs to find his line and length quickly here. Still the power play, so they've got deep square leg. And third man. As Chamira comes in, over the wicket, bowls to Maxwell, edge. No, hit on the pad. Oh, that might just be a bit too high.
And this is exactly what Sri Lanka have missed over a number of years. There's someone with some genuine pace. That ball there, 142. And this attack isn't sort of the same. They don't roll out 3 right-hand 130k bowlers at the moment. They've got someone different with that sort of Lasser Malinga style we were talking a little earlier. You got Chamira, who's bowling low 140s.
Australia needing 87 from 88 deliveries. Chimera into Maxwell. Hits hard down the ground. It's cut off at extra cover. Sliding in, Shanaka does the fielding. Down low to his right, so Chimera starting to find his range now. You can hear the crowd are getting involved. The Mexican wave going around Manuka Oval. Have to be sort of 6,000 or 7,000 in, which for a Tuesday night is a good crowd. Great to see a lot of youngsters in as well. And their Australia tops, good Sri Lankan backing as well. There's going to be a big following when we get to Melbourne, Dirk, for Friday and Sunday night. Chimera into Maxwell, swinging as a miss. Good take in the end. Dive into his right by Chanamal.
Maxwell trying to hit this out of the ground. Massive swing. There were a heap of people out around the ground tonight. There's a terrific atmosphere in some of the restaurants and bars before the game. Isn't it that it just seems to be that half the Sri Lankan team, or the former Sri Lankan team, lives in Melbourne these days. There's so many former Sri Lankan players who've taken up residency in Melbourne.
Trying to recruit them back to grade cricket. Tilakaratne and Dilshan, I think he's playing a little bit at the moment. Chimera bowling about 140, hits to Maxwell in the air, diving chance, couldn't be taken. Tough chance at mid-on, diving to his right. He might have hurt his shoulder in the efforts of trying to claim the catch.
Went one-handed, probably in the end could have gone two-handed. Did he make enough ground to get all the way over there?
Tilaka, it was, who was lunging to his right. Full stretch. Oh, it almost hit the middle of the palm in the end.
Almost got him too high, almost in the wrist. I think he could have gone two-handed at that and taken the catch.
Trying to time the Superman dive, but went with the one arm.
A lot of cameras around.
Maxwell survives, he's on 10. Finch awaits Chimera, short ball hit in the air, over the fielder at wideish mid-off. Power from Aaron Finch, he moves to 14 from 16 deliveries. Australia 2 for 40 after 6 overs.
They're really noticeable that they've had a change of intent in that over. It's as though they've sat there and before that over and said, we're going to try and take him down here. A bit more pace on the ball, he's going to be a bit skiddy. This is the man we have to go after. It almost seemed to be a completely different intent by the Australian batsman then.
So the end of the power play, Australia 40 for the loss of 2 wickets. Sri Lanka were 2 for 37 in comparison, but the Aussies having lost Ben McDermott from the first ball, who was caught in the slips, out for Adaka, and Ashnagha out for 13. We'll know that they've still got Josh Inglis, Marcus Stoinis, Matthew Wade, Daniel Sams still to come. Not to mention Mitch Stark and Kane Richardson, who can swing the bat if required. Now, are we going to see leg spin for the first time? We are. So one of 2 inclusions for Sri Lanka, Jeffrey van der Sey, the 32-year-old leg spinner. He's taken 6 wickets from 10 T20 internationals. His best is 2 for 26 and an average of 43. Filling the shoes of Hasaranka. Van der Sey comes in. Maxwell's able to drag it down and play it along the turf backward of square leg for a single. Maxwell to 11, 2 for 41 at the start of the 7th over.
It's really the first time Australia found themselves ahead of the rate. It's been a real challenge so far to score consistently, and it's not just Australia, it's both sides. Sri Lanka really did get a wriggle on towards the latter part of their innings.
Couple of taps of the bat from Aaron Finch. Awaiting Van der Sey, bowls over the wicket. Finch just chops his wrists and plays it along the turf through the vacant mid-wicket region. Able to pick up a single. Finch to 15, 2 for 42. This is where Hasaranka has been so deadly for Sri Lanka. He picked up 2 for 33 in the second T20, 3 for 38 in the first. So he's been able to create these little collapses in the Australian middle order. Van der Sey into Maxwell, rocks back, hits it along the ground, but it was good work in the end, moving to his left to cut it off by Shanaka, the captain. Maxwell awaits, looking to hit in the air, just wide of Shanaka, lunging to his left at extra cover. Maxwell gets through for the single.
It's another example of that ball just stopping and propping off this pitch. It seems so often today that players playing these big drives or booming drives always seem to skew the ball in the air, and Maxwell lucky there that that ball was wide of that box man, that fielder at short cover.
Shanaka trying to lunge and grab it with the back of the right hand, which was awkward and unlikely to land, but if they can take one of these catches, they'll feel like they're starting to work their way back in this match. Van der Sey into Finch, good full delivery, digs it out and drives it down the ground just past the fielder at mid-on, is able to get through for the single. As Chimera wasn't able to cut it off, so Finch to 16, 2 for 44 with one ball to come in the 7th over. I need you to remind me about IPL, because Brett Sprigg started telling a story on the Tuesday night about how you got paid for one of your T20 commitments in cash, and he tried to go into detail about it and got himself lost in the process. So we've had a few listener requests. It's the final ball of the over from Finch, has worked through to mid-wicket for a single. Finch is on 16, 2 for 45. So actually get some clarity on that story. So remind me to ask you about it later, Dirk, as Stuart Clark comes in to join you on Grandstand Cricket on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, via the ABC Listen app and on the BBC. Stuart Clark's here. Hello, Clarkie.
Clinchy, I just worked out that Dirk Nanners created Chris Gale. You made him.
I'm not sure
the Universe Boss was it like he was in the park. He was gone. It was all over for the Universe Boss, never to play again. Dirk just 145, went up to 150, gone. Universe Boss back. 17 years later, Universe Boss. You created him. Not only can you call the moguls and the big air, but you created the Universe Boss.
Well, when they replace a bowler with a batter, it probably doesn't suggest...
It's called rorting the system, is what that's called.
Life, but I'm not sure the comparison's
Does Gailey ever ring and go, cheers? Does he contact you? 10%, good work, as long as you get an earned. It's all about how many earns you get.
I think Dirk has been to Chris Gale's place, but again, that's probably a conversation for after dark. Chimera starting a new over from the pull there, bowls to Glenn Maxwell. He hits it out through the covers, picks up a single to start the 8th over. Australia 2 for 46.
Oh, it is an after dark conversation, that one. Old Gailey, the Universe Boss. The Australians, it's going to happen quickly here. Maxwell looks like he's in a bit of in a mood. He's going to play some strokes. Finch, he's got through the very, very difficult opening period, which was very tricky, that little mystery spinner we saw there.
Yeah.
It's all very, very hard when someone new comes in and you've never seen, because no one's done the analysis on it. So the video analysis guy, what does he bowl? Well, I'm not really sure. Like, flicks a few out the front of my fingers and that type of stuff.
Chimera comes in, bowls to Finch wide of the off stump, and he's able to get away with that one. Finch took a big swing at it, trying to work it over the cover. Taken by Chandimal behind the stumps. So where do they go looking? The Lankan Premier League to try and just find just 4 or 5 little clips that they can, this is what we think he bowls?
That's the hard part. So now that he's played a game, the analysis and the video, all the the boffins in the change room there will sit around and go, right, okay, that. And look, that won't mean you can actually know everything, but it'll give them a bit of an idea. Remember Sunil Narayan, when he first burst onto the scene? No one knew what he was
had any
bowling.
idea. No. Chimera at the top of his mark, right arm over the wicket, full delivery to Finch. He's able to hit it down the ground to long on for a single. He wants a change of bat. Some bit of damage there. Finch to 17 from 20 deliveries. Australia 2 for 47 in the 8th over, chasing 122 for victory.
Yeah, so Aaron Finch got through that hard bit. I was watching, they were showing a bit of analysis on the TV that his head's falling over a long way and getting his head outside the line of the ball, which is making it a bit awkward for him. So he's got a bit of a technical flaw, which I think he's always had, but it's a bit pronounced at the moment. So, someone will talk to him about that, I'd imagine, and he'll do some work on that over the next couple of months.
Chimera comes charging in to Maxwell off the outside edge, plays it into the covers. Wanted the single, is turned around. Aaron Finch not all that keen to take that. It was almost a run out between Maxwell and Inglis, and they found themselves at the same end. I thought he said your fault, but I think I'm led to believe he said not your fault.
Oh, right.
Josh,
because we were watching
both
that.
Were at the keeper's end.
Yeah, they said that your fault and not your fault.
I think so, yeah. It seemed a bit strange that you...
Sorry would have done, wouldn't it?
Blatantly say your fault.
Sorry.
Don't run me out. Glenn Maxwell on 14, awaiting Chimera once more, wide of the off stump and swinging away. Maxwell can't make any contact.
And that's that two-pace in the wicket. They're just not bouncing. Maxwell really throwing his hands through that. Really slow ball out the side of the hand. No pace from Maxwell. You can just see how early he is on that ball. Probably trying to hit it a fraction hard as well, so didn't quite get his technique or timing right. But a good piece of bowling. That's what you've got to bowl into the wicket. Bowl it into the wicket. Force the batter to try and anticipate the pace it's going to come off, because they're not coming off at the same pace every time.
Chimera with the different variations as he bowls a full delivery to Maxwell. He's able to work it off his toes. Forward of square leg. He takes the first quickly and will be able to trot through for the second as it's cut off in the deep by a couple of fielders who make their way around. The throw was a bit wild though. No damage done as Chandimal's able to rake it in.
Yeah, threw that one into the lights, unfortunately. End of the over. Australia move on to 45, 49 for the loss of 2 wickets. Threw it into the lights then, and poor old Chandimal ducking for cover out of the way. It's a beautiful old scoreboard, the Jack Fingleton scoreboard. But what's hard about it is it takes a little bit to update. Maybe it's like because someone's in there manually changing the numbers over, whereas the electronic ones you get all around the country. And I still like this, don't you know, like the Adelaide scoreboard and this scoreboard. I'm not being detrimental to it, but it's just sometimes it's hard to keep up with the pace of the game.
It's one of those scoreboards that you just need to come to the cricket and know how to use it. I must be honest, the first time I was looking at it, trying to work out where the score is, often they're down the bottom, in the right or the left. No, not there. Right in the middle, right in front of you.
Yeah.
Once you've worked out how to read it, and they get warm in those old scoreboards.
Oh, don't they what?
Not unto them that are working hard in there. The leg spinner Van der Say is going to continue from the Manuka end, our broadcast end here at Manuka Oval. We see a Cowan ball to start here. He bowls to Finch, pushes it into the offside, quickly through for the single. Shanaka came racing in. He couldn't quite take it cleanly, so Finch was able to comfortably get Maxwell through for that single. Finch to 18, 2 for 50 at the start of the 9th over.
Good piece of running. Got there quickly. Maxwell really called that one through.
Just sort of one of the criticisms from the Sri Lankan batting innings is you'd expect maybe a little bit more of that use of the wrists. Yeah. Just seeing the gaps, especially when they go to play at grounds like the MCG. It's going to be hard to hit 6s and 4s there, so your ramps and your scoops will come into play. Van der Say to Maxwell on cue, goes a reverse sweep. That's a massive 6. 6 rows back into the crowd.
Oh, that's a huge hit. You know the beauty of that shot is usually that reverse sweep goes really square. He's hit that over cover. He's picked it up that early and almost flat batted it, not gone square. It's come 25 metres in front of square over where cover would be. So that's an amazing cricket shot.
There's a lot of batters in the world that would be happy to play a stock standard cover drive over the fence for 6.
Dropped
played a reverse sweep and put it 6 rows back. And yeah, there was a gentleman in a blue shirt, grey shorts, and he's dropped it.
This time on the bicep.
Everyone's telling him about it.
This time on the bicep curls, I reckon, for that champion.
Well, he did have a drink in hand. I think he was pretty keen not to lose that.
More on the side there. He's copping a bake from the crowd as he wanders around. Poor fella. He's just, dropped the catch. Now he's copping a serve.
He's eating his donut, so he's been told about it. Van der Say to Maxwell. Hit in the air. The catch is taken. No, dropped. Put down. Shanaka had his both hands to it, lunging to his left. He apologises to the bowler, but that's not going to help.
He should have caught that. That was he went for the sort of half dive, and he really just needed to take another step.
Maxwell gets away with one, goes a reverse sweep, hits it down to what would be short third. He's able to get through for the single as Maxwell moves to 23, 2 for 57.
That was a leg break, that one, wasn't it?
Yep. That was the one that was dropped by Shanaka. That was the leg break, but he's got the varieties that we see. I mean, they're pretty hard to pick, aren't they? Out of the hand, even if you know what they're going to bowl. Van der Say to Finch, who rocks back, looking to cut, but straight to the fielder. A backward point.
A very quick arm action, so he's a little bit more tricky than you would expect. So, over the years, there's been a lot of guys that have bowled very deceptive wrong-uns.
Would you ever try and pick him? Finch rocks back. This time is able to hit it more square on the offside. Through the gap for a single to close out the 9th over. Finch to 19. 2 for 58.
I could pick McGill's, but I think that was just through years of playing with Stewart and then catching a few balls with the mitt. You tended to watch a few and you went, OK, right, I can see that. Warney only played a couple of times in domestic cricket, so I didn't really get that opportunity. That Adil Rashid that plays for England in the short version, I played him a few times and I was clueless to what he was bowling.
I don't think he'd be alone in that.
But the one that was the hardest to pick was a guy, merely I never got a real good chance to face him, but Saeed Ajmal, that played for Pakistan, he bowled doozaroos and I reckon I faced an over in a one-day game. We were not many for a lot, wickets, and I reckon he beat me 6 times in a row, inside, outside, inside, outside. It was like I had the windscreen wipers out and I was sort of waving my bat at it. But he was an unbelievably good bowler.
The voice of Stuart Clark alongside Matt Clinchworthy on Grandstand Cricket on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, via the ABC Listen app and on the BBC through Test Match Special. Jamira is going to continue from the northern end here at Manuka Oval. Slower ball to Finch, who's able to work it off his toes. Play it through mid-wicket for a single. Finch to 20, Australia 2 for 59.
Australia will just keep knocking it around here. There's no real pressure for them to do anything other than knock it around in the gaps. Get up and down the wicket. It would have been a tough catch, that, if he'd caught it.
For Aaron Finch, who's had a string of single-figure scores, just the 150 in the last 14 T20s. He'd be pretty keen to try and be there, not out at the end if he could just manage the scenario well enough. Australia 2 for 59. Maxwell opens up the blade and runs Jamira down to third. They want to come back for 2. Good running in the end. As Maxwell was quick on the turn, called Finch straight through. And the throw in the end was a little bit wide for Chandimal anyway. Maxwell to 25, 2 for 61.
In true Glenn Maxwell style, he doesn't overly look like he's going at any great pace. He's going quickly, but he's got that very lackadaisical mannerisms about him that he's moving up and down the wicket, and it looks like he's not trying, but he gets there very comfortably there.
One of those natural sportsmen.
He's
playing golf.
It wouldn't matter what he did.
Played tennis reasonably well. Even a Paul would sink the black ball and make it look easy. Jamira comes in, bowls to Maxwell, short ball hit in the air. There's a fielder there, but it's over him. Into the crowd at mid-wicket. Glenn Maxwell's starting to clear the rope now. 2 for 67 with Maxwell 31 from 20 deliveries.
And that's poor bowling that by Puratna. Maxwell's setting up for that. He's deep in his crease. He banged it in. He was that early and he was just sitting there waiting for it. And the fielder's out there and he said, oh, don't worry about that. I'll just hit it 20 metres over his head. But it's poor bowling that. You got to look at where Maxwell's standing and look at his stance. And that's the perfect ball he wants to put it away. He's deep in his crease.
Jamira looking to find a response here. Fuller ball to Maxwell, who's able to get it off the bottom edge along the ground out to mid-wicket. So a single to move Australia to 2 for 68. On ball to come in the 10th over.
Maxwell's retained in the IPL. His team kept him, didn't he? So he gets, I think the rule, doesn't he get more than everyone else?
I have to check that. I don't know if they get...
That was his contract last year, though. I think it was 2 million. I think, don't they up it by 10% or something?
Jamira comes in, wide outside the off stump. Finch opens up the blade, runs it to short third, and is able to get through for a single. 2 for 69. So those players that had are retained, they're on 3-year deals, aren't they?
Yeah, something like that. There's a rule that you can't be retained and be on. You've got to go to 10% more than the maximum contract or something like that. So, yeah, well, we're splitting hairs over a couple $100,000. Yeah.
Not a bad scenario when you're trying to work out where you're going to spend your $2 million, though, is it?
Well, we're splitting hairs over a couple $100,000, aren't we?
11 off the over so far. Jamira into Maxwell. It just plays it into the offside, into the covers for a single to close out the over. So after 10 overs, Australia are 2 for 70 with Finch on 21, Maxwell on 33. Australia with a rescue job after McDermott was out for a duck first ball and Agar out for 13. Stuart Clark about to be joined by Quentin Hull.
And international cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio and on the ABC Listen app.
I think I see where you're going here. You're wondering whether there's some type of interest or percentage on the fact that he hasn't gone into the auction and because he's on that contract. So essentially, Yeah, Tim David got the 1.5, the highest of the Australians players auctioned, but there was the option for 3 or 4 players to be retained, or the 2 new franchises buy new players.
Yeah.
Now, Marcus Stoinis went to Lucknow for 1.7, and Maxwell was retained by Royal Challenge Bangalore for 2 mil. Yeah.
Look, whatever, it's a lot. Whatever it is, it's enough. We'll get by.
If he is getting a percentage, I'll be happy with that. And we won't argue about the rest. Now we're finally going to see the last over of Tikshana, who's entertained us tonight. He bowls to Maxwell, who's on the back foot, cutting hard through cover. There's a sweeper who tries but won't get to it. The ball races to the boundary. And after dropping 2 catches on Sunday night, it seems that the cricket karma's come back to Glenn Maxwell. He's been given 2 chances tonight, and he's 37 from 23 balls. And Australia 2 for 74, chasing 122.
What he does do, Glenn Maxwell, when he gets himself in, is he hits the ball extremely hard.
Tikshana over the wicket, pushing Maxwell back, and he turns it through mid-wicket for 1. Finch is saying, yeah, we'll come back for the second. Mendes throws at the non-strikers, nowhere near the stumps. Finch was home anyway. And no one at mid-wicket or mid-on. They were on the rope and a cleverly taken 2.
He hits the ball extremely hard. He can also work it into that mid-wicket, which tends to be the field now that team's set. But when he hits the ball into the outfield, he doesn't just hit it straight to the deep man. He's got the ability to hit it away, close to the infielder, but away from the outfielder.
Ball from Tikshana hits Maxwell on the pad. No appeal, it was going down the leg side and no run.
And by doing that, he tends to score very quickly with, that was just a stock standard cut shot. And 95% of players would hit it straight to the man out at deep point. He hit it 20 metres to his right and gets 4 for it.
Entertainment in the crowd. I'd like to tell you what's happening, but I can't see it. I'll watch Maxwell slog out over mid-wicket. He hasn't got enough of this. He'll be caught in the deep. That is the end of Glenn Maxwell. Tikshana takes the wicket. And Maxwell is gone for 39 from 25 deliveries. A simple catch for Kilsale Mendes at deep mid-wicket. And Australia now 3 for 76.
Yeah, Maxwell trying to take on the long boundary one too many times there. Didn't get it, got very high on the bat, carried all the way out to deep mid-wicket. Pretty simple catch for Mendes out in the deep, and picked up his 2nd wicket, or 3rd wicket.
3 for Tikshana.
Tikshana's picked up 3 for 23 in 3.4 overs. Australia 3 for 76, needing another 40-odd to win this match.
So who's next?
Josh Inglis, I think, wanted his way in, is it?
Yep.
That's Josh Inglis, another 46 to win off 56 deliveries.
It's been a bit of what's next tonight ever since Ashton Agar opened the batting with Ben McDermott. Of course, no Steve Smith in the middle order tonight. Hope he's feeling okay. Did get on the tweet yesterday morning to let us all know his head's a bit sore, but he's going to be fine.
Yeah, it was a nasty bump. He hit his head hard. So remember the old days it wasn't Twitter when we all had to worry about how he was. Now he just gets on the Twitter and goes, yeah, I'm okay. Remember those days? Were we better without it?
Oh, gee, that's a tough question to answer while the spinner's on playing a T20 game. And they've crossed, so Finch is on strike. He'll take a run, turning it through mid-wicket. Information Age does give it. I love Twitter during the IPL auction, though. There are certain things that you really...
It's got some good parts to it.
Yeah, there's bits and pieces, There are certain nights and events which are good. A lot of rubbish out there as well, but
mixed in with a lot of garbage.
Life's like a box of chocolates, just as Forrest Gump. Exactly. Inglis is facing Tikshana, who's got 3 wickets. Head on the pad. Big appeal from wicketkeeper Chandimal, not out. And the DRS timer is ticking away.
Outside the line, I would have thought.
Shanaka's coming over to have a chat. No, I don't think they're going to review.
He's moved on. End of the over, is it?
So that's...
No?
Yes, it is the end of the over. And Tikshana has the figures of 3 for 24.
Very good.
4 overs. Well done.
Very, very good. Bowled really well. Good variations. A little bit of mystery spin in amongst all of that. So certainly had everyone asking questions. Or he certainly was asking every batter questions about what was coming down the wicket. And he's another find, I think, for the Sri Lankan tour. There's been a few of them Nuan, who went off with an injury, that's a shame, but he's certainly going to be a find. Give it a little bit longer.
So Chamira is going to have another over from the pool end, bowling to Finch, who got a shorter, slower delivery, which he just runs off the throat of the bat into the gully and takes a cheeky single. And Finch moves to 23. Australia 3 for 78. Isnuan Tisara, the new Sri Lankan slinger, and he bowled a couple of what was it, his second? Yeah, it was his second over. Yeah. He went off with a side strain, which brings me back to the conversation about Michael Neser. If you weren't aware, he hurt himself in the game where New South Wales beat Queensland in a rain-affected 50-over game at the Gabba last night. I've been in touch with Queensland Cricket, and no scans back as yet. They're chasing news, so yeah, let's hope he's okay with that Pakistan tour to come.
Look, as good we saw with Josh Hazlewood, it's a 4 to 6 week injury. No matter, sometimes you get back a little bit quicker, but it's still.
Chamira bowling to Inglis, who return catch is dropped. Caught and bowled opportunity. Chamira went with both hands to his right and missed the opportunity. Inglis is given a life and gets a run as well, and that's 3 for 79.
Should have caught that. That was a pretty simple chance. It didn't come. It was a bit like the Mendes dismissal in for Sri Lanka. Just got stuck in the wicket, and he was just moving to his left and couldn't quite focus and get his body weight going back towards the ball. Got some fingers on it, but unfortunately, it just went so slowly. You just got to assume he should have caught that.
Swinging away a bit as well. It was a tough one, but another one that's taken a fingernail or so and has gone to ground. Now it's Finch facing Chamira. He, again, happy with the tap and run on the offside. Mendes is there at backward point, but races in, can't stop the single.
They don't need to do any more. 42 or 51, and just keep knocking it in that gap, and just, the scoreboard will just keep dropping down, 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 and all of a sudden they won't need many to win. So from Australia's point of view, yeah, but that side injury back to Michael Neser, unfortunately, it's one of those injuries that even when you think you're right, you're still probably another couple of weeks away from being right, and then you've got to get yourself back into bowling fitness, because you will go 3 to 4 weeks without bowling, and then you've got a tour. So you don't want to turn up to a tour, especially with the competitive nature of that Australian team, and you not be fit.
Which leads us to another question, which I'll ask in a moment. Chamira bounces Inglis off the throat of the bat. Oh, it pitches between the keeper and the bowler, and his follow through. Absolutely got him for pace. Beautiful delivery. It didn't carry to the keeper. The bowler was scurrying in his follow through, and it basically stopped dead next to the batsman on the popping crease.
It got big on him really quickly. Chandimal a long way back. It's basically just landed to the left-hand side of the stumps, probably about the same length. But it was a quick delivery, quick and good accuracy, around about helmet height, right above off stump. And Inglis was late, really, really late on that. Good piece of bowling. Fortunately, no luck. They've had much luck, you're saying. To be fair, they've dropped a few catches, so you can't completely blame luck, but certainly that's what it's been like the whole series, though. They've done just almost. It's been almost good enough.
They've shown that there's certainly some explosive talent in this team. Chamira tries again, this time Fuller. Inglis strokes it to mid-wicket, won't get a run. Yeah, a few elementary areas of their game have let them down, but there's some funkiness, there's some excitement about this team, that if they can play a bit of cricket together, they've got some tricks.
Well, that's what I was saying at the start, that they haven't got that experience to mix in with I think I said on Sunday, there's sprouts of success there, but they haven't grown yet. They're just starting. Need a bit of watering, a bit of nurturing, put some fertiliser on it all.
Well, 5 games in Australia against the world champions. That'll help. Chamira bowls short. Inglis pulls, gets a good piece of that. One bounce over the rope at deep backward square for 4. Again, he's hit that really well, but I don't know, Stewie put the fast bowler's hat on. I reckon he almost got him for Jets again there, but Inglis did a really good job to get a lot onto that.
He did, and again, that's the idea's right. The execution is just not right. So he got that one not high enough, and he got it a little bit outside the line of Inglis's head, and it allowed him to get his hands at it. If he gets his line perfect there and at helmet height and right at his helmet, I think he gets him caught down a deep, fine leg. But that's when we talk about that experience and executing your skills under the utmost pressure. That's the sort of thing which only comes by playing cricket.
Yeah.
And you can't bag them or you can't knock them for it. You can see what they're trying to do. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Now, Van der Say, the leg spinner, is going to have the next over. I'll give you a bit of time to think. So let's hope that Michael Nice is okay. If he's ruled out, who's the next in line to go to Pakistan?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Now,
Jai Richardson's being rested.
Yeah, there is apparently still a bit of concern about a few hot spots in his bones again.
Oh, in the back? Must be. The hot spots are back issues.
Feet, I think.
Feet. Ankles and... Oh, OK, that's different. Can happen. Stress fractures in your feet and whatnot.
So, as Van der Say starts a new over and forward comes Finch defending. So, well, he wasn't picked originally. So let's, for one reason or another, suggest that you don't go to Jai Richardson. As Van der Say has Finch on the back foot, stroking out to deep cover. Takes a single, 1-2 to the target. Well within reach for Australia at 3 for 85. 2 balls into the 13th. Finch to 25.
Well, we've got Scott Boland. We really don't need anyone else.
Well, he's going.
Yeah, but we've got him. So we just bowl him and just get everyone out. It's not that hard.
Might tread on a cricket ball.
Well, let's hope not, for everyone's sake. But you've got 3 other quicks there. Michael Neese, he would have been good over there in that part of the world.
There's not many like him in Australian state cricket, really, is there?
Well, then you're going to... I'm a big fan of Riley Meredith. I don't know if he's...
Van der Say bowls to Inglis, who's down on his back knee and tapping it around the corner for a single, make it 2. He comes back scurrying for a second run, and he moves to 5. It's 3 for 87.
And Riley Meredith's an interesting one, so I like him. Whether he's played enough red ball cricket, I don't know. Sean Abbott, he's injured at the moment. He was around at the start of the summer, you may remember, before the Ashes test. He was in the possibles, probables game.
Van der Say to Inglis, who drives uppishly through extra cover. There's a man on the rope. Karunaratne does the fielding, and they come back for a couple. Inglis to 7, 3 for 89.
But he may be injured at the moment as well with some
didn't
sort
play
of
the Shield game,
some sort of side or
New South Wales against Queensland.
So that's a problem. I think then we're starting to get to not quite sure type territory, are we?
Van der Say full. That's a half volley, and Inglis takes a single out to deep point.
Putting my Queensland, Baisley and Steketee.
Well, Steketee's probably... he's the reserve, so
yeah,
that's probably the answer to the question now that you mention his name. I think he and Renshaw are on the reserve.
Yeah, so Steketee's, impressive. They've been throughout the year. Doggett, that's playing in South Australia at the moment, he gets wickets. He tends to get guys out, so I'd imagine... And look, we're really snowballing and speculating now. I'm not saying that any of these guys are the next cab off the rank.
Van der Say bowls and a late card off the off stump from Finch. Gets it past first slip. There's no one at deep third. Racing away to the boundary for 4. And the Australian skipper moves to 29. And that's the end of the 13th over. And the Aussies 3 for 94.
Yeah, nice late cut that way, Aaron Finch. Let it come. He got a slip in place, but he played late into the ground. Slip really didn't have any sort of knowledge of where that ball went. Tried hard, but very difficult at the pace the ball comes off the bat. Another 27 to win. You would have been a Macarena fan back in the day, wouldn't you, Q?
I was waiting for you to mention that.
Because you wanted me to? Or...
No, I was... My daughter asked me about this the other day, and we looked it up. She's like, "Oh, Daddy, when did this come out?" And I spoke about how it was a really explosive hit around 96 or 97. But I think it came out in the early 90s and then was redone.
Right. I would have thought... I thought it was a bit later than 96, 97, but I'm saying that you looked it up?
Recently, at the behest of my 11-year-old.
You sure? Don't blame your kids for this. You went to a party and someone said, let's do it, and you went, right, I just want to work out what era this came from.
I actually felt cool yesterday because the stuff that I play in my car was all the stuff that was on the halftime show of the Super Bowl. How good was that?
It was great.
50 Cent, California Love, it was great. Here's Inglis facing the new over from Karunaratne. He runs it down to deep third for a single. And the Aussies working away at this target nicely. 122. Here's the magic number, 3 for 95. Looks good early in the 14th.
More importantly, what about the stadium? Do you know how much that stadium cost?
No.
$5 billion, someone said. I have to check that, but that's what I heard on 5. It was, if you're going to have a good halftime show, Los Angeles is the place to probably do it, given that they all probably live around.
I don't know where's Snoop Dogg's crib these days. Karuna Ratner bowls, slow-ish delivery. Finch waits for it, cuts well. There's a man coming around from deep point, cuts it off Mendes in the deep, and another 2 for Aaron Finch. He's just knocking these off now at will. A run of ball 31 or thereabouts, 3 for 97. It was good to see 50 Cent. You know, he's obviously still getting rich because he hasn't got dead trying yet, has he? For those who know their popular music coastal, that was his first album, wasn't it? Get Rich or Die Trying.
Oh, I'm not a big. Yeah, there you go. I'm not a big 50 Cent fan, I must be honest with you.
Finch now faces a slower delivery, which is pushed out on the offside. And again, Mendes, he's everywhere in the field. He trucks to his right, has to make 15 metres in the deep. Keeps it to 2. $5 billion. There you go. You've looked it up.
I thought it was. I heard it. I nearly drove off the road. From $5 billion for a stadium. Goodness gracious. But it was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't watch much of the game.
I didn't watch any of the game, but I watched the half-time show. I knew at the score. I watched the end. I watched the highlights. Went, oh, yeah, that's good. And it's a bit hard. A bit like, I imagine, an American watching cricket. Don't know the rules well enough to really get into it.
You know, your part of the world, there's a little sledge for Parramatta fans. Like, that's what it looks like when a blue and gold team wins a winter title. It's been a while for them. Slow, full, Finch drives. Oh, through cover, misfield. And they'll get a run. And who was the butterfingers on that occasion? It was the skipper, Dasan Shanaka. That's the 100 up for Australia. Finch is a runner ball 34. 22 required to win, and there's still 2 balls left in the 14th over.
Yeah, terrible piece of fielding that. Hit with no power, there was nothing on. Aaron Finch had called basically no, and Shanaka got down on one knee and got left a gap between his foot and his knee, and it went through that gap. Surely not.
Speaking of winning things, Australia is racing towards sealing this series in 3 games as Inglis turns the ball through. A vacant mid-wicket region, no great challenge there from that off-pace delivery of Karuna Ratner, and Inglis is 12 from 10 balls. Australia 3 for 101.
They're better off Sri Lanka just bringing the field up here, because otherwise Australia's just going to coast. Every ball's going to be a single, and all of a sudden the game will be over. Bring the field up. Make Aaron Finch, make Josh Inglis hit over the top. They're going to get him anyway. What's the difference? Are we worried about net run rate or?
Runner ball 34 for Finch. Slow outside the off start, and he chops down on it. They take a single to backward point. Nice throw and hit. Nasanka coming in with a fine piece of work there, but Inglis, I'm assuming, is home, even though the umpire's gone to the screen to check.
Well, I think the issue will be, I think he'll be safe here, but I don't think he slid his bat. I think he just placed it over the line, but I think he did it well enough. Oh, no.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, his
Thank
foot's
you.
in
Don't
anyway.
any more than that. Thank you. Decision for the screen is not
He's
out.
fine.
Good third umpiring too, just get on with it. No, not out. No, look, 43 replays here, that's just not out.
Mary J. Blige, you remember her stuff? She was great too.
Yeah, she was. Look, they're all great. They were all great, those.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's no Meatloaf at the AFL Grand Final.
Best in peace.
Yeah, but yeah, God, I like Meatloaf too. I'm a fan of his music. Poor fella.
No longer with us. Yeah, it certainly was sort of in the opposite of that category. It's like, you know, Billy Idol at the NRL.
It's a bit like that,
Grand
yes. Billy Idol.
We've named a couple of the major fails at the big football games in Australia over recent years. Now we've got Van der Sey starting a new over. Edge caught, and Finch is out. Caught at first slip. And Aaron Finch is gone for 35. Australia loses its 4th wicket. 4 for 102. And Van der Sey gets a pole.
He does. Aaron Finch is giving himself a little bit of room, trying to hit it away over the top of cover when the whole outfield is vacant. Opened up the stance, got to the pit, but it just spun a little bit. It came off the wicketkeeper's gloves, and then a sharp chance taken at slip to dismiss Aaron Finch. It was a really difficult chance because it bounced up off the wicketkeeper's gloves, and first slip was moving away to his left and had to then shimmy back to his right. So Van der Sey's picked up his first wicket. Aaron Finch 35 off 36, and you know, on a difficult wicket I might add, but he'll be disappointed he didn't finish it off. But it brings to the crease big Stoinis. the finisher.
He's winding his big shoulders over with that matchstick that he's got in his hands. The big man, Marcus Stoinis, looking to finish things off for Australia here with only 20 runs required, with 5 overs and 5 balls to do it. Stewie's looking for something from... Oh, he's had enough. He's pointing to Dirk at the back of the box.
I'm trying to ask Dirk, and I think I think the order is you're supposed to be on, but I'm happy to keep going and chatting away. I'm happy to keep going. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Just going to sit back and fall asleep sitting up there.
So Stoinis is on strike. Van der Sey, he's got a short leg in now. This is a bizarre field. 20 needed from 35 in a T20 international, and there's a slip and a short leg. I reckon both of you guys.
We're going to both sit in now. That's it. We're both in.
You can help us out. Good to see you again, Dirk.
Might be one brain between us.
Van der Sey to Stoinis, back in the crease, and he flat bats it down towards long on, and trotting in from the rope. Avishka Fernando, who's sub-fielding. He's not playing in the game tonight, but he's there to do the fielding. And a run for Stoinis. We're getting plenty of noise out of Dinesh Chandimal when he's keeping up. Inglis now to face the leg spinner. Reverse sweep, and he beats backward point. That's a great shot down to third man for 4. Well executed. A few more of the tricks of this talented young cricketer.
He has certainly got some tricks. He plays all the various shots. He can reverse both sweep, normal sweep, hard sweep, soft sweep, over the top, hook shot before. So he's got all the strokes. Certainly one of those guys that when you're mixing up what does our team come December or November look
October,
like?
yeah.
October, yeah. What does our team look like? He's certainly in that conversation now, very much. And he wicket keeps as well, if need be.
Yeah, there's a few options for the gloves in this squad. Inglis now advances at the leg spinner. Van der Sey turns him to deep mid-wicket, just a single on this occasion.
I'd like to know the batting lineup.
You guys are talking about what you guys are doing. Are we doing a swap, Clinchy? Yeah, we are. Okay. We're sort of working out as to whether or not...
All 4 of us will just keep... just all go for it.
Why not?
Have you got a man of the match? Who do you reckon, Dirk?
I'm going to abstain. Because I already know.
Oh, do you? You've
had a vote.
Already made that decision, right, yeah? Who'd you go with?
Hey, look, this is a city where confidences generally leak out at some point or another. The ground by Finch, and they take a single.
Oh.
See, we're in the shadows of Parliament House here, Dirk, and you reckon you can keep a secret? That's something new for Canberra.
Nothing's ever been kept a secret in there. Those cabinet documents they open up at the end of 30 years, everyone's going, oh, I knew all about that. That's rubbish, and move on.
Last ball of the 15th over, 4 for 109. Make it 4 for 110 as Inglis strokes it into the covers. And he moves along to 18, doing the business from just 13 deliveries. 12 required. I've had enough of you two. I'm going to go. Clinchy's coming in to finish it off.
Grandstand International Cricket, Australia versus Sri Lanka. On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Q. I think the real question he was asking is, am I going downstairs to do the interview or do I stay commentating? No, son, have a breather. But Michaela did pop her head in and ask for our 3, 2 and 1 for the player of the match. So
who did you go with? Are you not allowed to tell me? Are you not allowed to suggest? Or
well, I think the guy that took the wickets got the 3.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty obvious from there, the 2 and the 1.
Yeah, okay. Rightio.
Not quite the mystery you were hoping for.
Hang on. Did we get asked or did we get told?
No, you threw, didn't you?
No.
Jamira is starting a few over from the pull and comes in and bowls to Inglis, who's up on his toes and trying to play it backward a point, but a dot ball to start.
How does it actually work? Who picks man of the match? The official man of the match?
So there's about 3 or 4 sets of votes. I think there's a media vote, there's a... I need to have a better answer for this than what you're asking, don't I? But the media provide 1 set of votes, I know that. And there's a 2nd set of votes as well. And they accumulate
media. Who else? Well,
they're normally a TV partner, radio partner. Maybe one more.
Dare say they're getting 90% of the
Would have thought so.
action.
Shamira in Ingles, who injures, but just falls short of Chandimal. A good foot and a half in front of him.
So you're saying Richardson man of the match is what you suggest?
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably fair. Good point.
It was a bowler's game tonight.
Agar would be in there somewhere, I would have thought.
Yep. That's actually a good call.
And I guess Aaron Finch, or maybe Maxwell. What did Maxwell get?
Maxwell got 39.
Yeah, it was a 39 off 25, I think, wasn't it? 24 or something like that. So
top scored. Shanaka with
and picked up
39 from 38. Unfortunately for Sri Lanka, 121, 6 down was never really going to be enough. Shamira, short ball to Inglis, who chops and gets an inside edge. Ricochets down to fine leg. They take the first quickly. That's all they'll get. Inglis to 19, 4 for 111.
So across the test summer, they come to us at the end of a test match and ask us for our 3-2-1.
Yes.
That goes into the official man of the match tally,
Yes.
and they're going to every single broadcasting booth and asking them the same question.
Led to believe that, yes.
Okay.
And then that's why even...
That's all put into a pot, and then it's a bit like the Sheffield Shield. You come up with the answer at the end. Is that how it works, or we just go to the point that everyone's going to have the same answer?
I think so.
It's got to be.
Player of the series, they tally them all up.
Yeah, okay.
I would have thought TV had a little bit more sway.
Their votes count for a bit more than others.
Putting in the big bucks. So
Australia needing just 11 more for victory from 27 deliveries. Stoinis awaits. Big swing, looking to hit down the ground. Shamir able to take a bit of pace off it, but a no ball. Was it no ball, or was he just stretching out his arm?
No, he's calling two.
Right.
You know, they signal two to the other umpire.
Right.
Just picked it up at the wrong time, didn't you? Just when he went like that. Just looked over at the wrong.
Looked at the wrong time. There's been a bit of that tonight. Good crowd in though.
When you umpire kids cricket and you got a proper umpire down at the bay, and then you're doing square leg, and he keeps going like that to you, and I keep looking at him going, I'm not even counting.
What are you meaning?
I'm not even counting, man. I'm just standing here.
Shamira done for 21. Good full delivery for Stoinis going down the leg side. It flares out into the offside, and it's well fielded, a direct hit, which unfortunately will be unsuccessful, but it was cleanly picked up in the end by Nasaka, who threw down the stumps at the non-striker's end.
He's a good fielder, Sanako. He hit the stumps side on Inglis an over or so ago, and he's hit the stumps there. He's one of their better fielders, very quick to the ball, and he hits the stumps more often than not.
10 runs needed for victory. Australia 4 for 112.
What stage of your cricket were you with it? You genuinely, you didn't even have to count your balls, you just knew where you were in an over.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting question, because I think
Shamir in Inglis, who's on 19. He wedges out a full delivery, plays it down to third for a single to close out the over. Inglis to 24 for 113.
As a junior, you got no idea.
Yeah, you just bowl and over. Probably once you get to grade cricket and you're getting up to the first grade bit. I always used to try. I got into a habit of saying to the umpire 2 to go. Not like I didn't know. I always just got 2 to go, because I knew that would. I'd say to myself, right, 5th ball and 6th ball, make sure they're good balls. Or it was more about me saying, don't get carried away and trying to get him out here. Try and bowl another good ball rather than some sort of magical delivery.
Yeah, I always ask the umpire. I think I was the same, asking the umpire for 2, but then you'd go later on, you kind of realise you're actually showing your ignorance, because you should know where you are in the over.
You're trying to do something to a plan. Many bowlers, though, are not overly bright. No, you get tired. You get a bit worn out. How many overs I've got? These days, you only bowl about 3 or 4 overs these days, and you get hooked from workload issues.
So with a bowler down, the Sharka's out, so Sonicka's going to have to bowl himself a full delivery to start things, and it's hit through the gap in the covers by Inglis just for a single. So Inglis to 21, 8 needed for victory. Australia 4 for 114.
I give him credit, because when the pressure's on, he always takes it upon himself to either bowl or he batted in the power play. I'm not sure if he's a noted bowler at all. I can't really give you any.
He's taken 17 wickets in his 59 T20, so he hasn't bowled a lot. 3 for 16 is his best.
Looks like he's got a nice action. He's not bowling with any great pace, but
bowling average of 10.71 against Australia. Shanaka, short ball. Able to just rock back Stoinis and work it around the corner, and he's hit this fine enough that it'll take a bit of work to cut it off. They pick up a couple. In the end, it was chopped off just in front of the rope. 4 for 116. Stoinis moves to 4 and just 6 required for victory.
Having a look upstairs, wasn't he? Halfway down, testing out the middle of the pitch, see if there's any bounce there.
Bowling average at 10.71 against Australia. That would suggest that we should
be absolutely smashing it. Yeah. Shanaka, short ball. Stoinis hits in the air. He might finish it with one shot. No, it bounces in front of the rope. Just 2 needed for victory. Stoinis moves to 8. 4 through mid-wicket. 4 for 120.
Yeah, I don't think Stoinis is going to worry about anything here.
Keeps bowling short balls. Yep, that average is going to keep ballooning.
This is throw-down practice. Stoinis. Thought he might have hit a 6 there.
So Shanaka at the top of his mark. Comes in, full ball outside the off stump. Marcus Stoinis swings and swings hard. Finishes genuflecting. He put everything into that and couldn't believe he didn't make contact.
I think he's a bit shell-shocked it hasn't bowled him as well. I think that's what he's...
Left the gate open, kept low.
He's nearly done himself a mischief there.
Torn aside.
Yeah.
So Stoinis on 8 from 7 deliveries. 2 required for victory for Australia. Shanaka comes in, short ball. Stoinis hits it hard to mid-wicket. Should be caught over the fielder there and across the rope for 4. A tough one in the end for Kusal Mendis, who was racing back. But Australia win by 6 wickets. And they claim this T20 series against Sri Lanka and lead 3-0.
Yeah, Australia have been dominant pretty much all 3 matches, all 3 contests, and tonight Sri Lanka nowhere near enough, 121. I don't think it was 150, 160, 170 wicket, but certainly 20 to 30 short, and the Australians, after Maxwell got them going, really did really just accelerate, and Stoinis finished it off at the end.
Yeah, for me it was Maxwell lighting the fire in this chase. That you just need one person to get out there and strike at a decent clip, and suddenly you're in front of the rate, and that's exactly what Maxwell's innings did, and eased the pressure on everyone else. It was pretty clinical in the end. The bowling performance was good. I thought they were assisted by a wicket that moved around a fair bit. It was a challenge to score. I thought the Sri Lankan batting effort was pretty poor at times, but Australia bowled well, and it was a comprehensive drubbing really in the end. It was a pretty cruisy chase.
Well, the Duckworth-Lewis has them only needing 99 this current over, so they've done it easily in the end. But you're right, the Sri Lankan batting, look, it's really patchy. Like, it looks good, and then they play some nice shots, and then they play some terrible shots mixed in. So it's just inexperience, and they're just not at the same level the Australians are. And maybe we've got to accept that they're on a rebuilding phase, and it's 2 to 3 years away. But it's hard to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's plenty to work with in their bowling. Just their batting. And it was, I think you've nailed it, that they look great when they're playing good shots. But apart from that, unless the ball is in exactly the right spot that they play their good shots to, they've got nothing else to rotate strike. And then suddenly you see what should be a 150 score turning into 120 because they have so many dot balls throughout their innings, and hence they get a drubbing.
And they get the pressure builds and builds and builds, and they get out because they've got to play a miraculous shot to go with, all the dot balls. So anyway, it's a real rebuilding phase for the Sri Lankans at the moment, and they're going to have to keep working hard.
We're on air for another 7 minutes, so we might quickly try and bring you some reaction after Australia won the toss and elected to bowl. Sri Lanka posting 6 for 121 from their 20 overs. Shanaka with 39 from 38 top scoring. Chandimal with 25 from 22. And Australia, in response, able to comfortably get to the total with Glenn Maxwell leading the way, 39 from 26 deliveries. Aaron Finch, 35 from 36. Josh Inglis not out on 21, and Marcus Stoinis on 12. Let's head down for some reaction with Quentin Hull.
And we've got Glenn Maxwell here after another series victory for Australia. Congratulations, Glenn. You've done the job in 3 games.
Yeah, it was obviously what we came here to do. After we won the World Cup, we wanted to make sure that we kept our winning momentum after that, and it's a long build-up towards this year's World Cup, and it's nice to start this year with a couple of wins.
And the cricket gods have somewhat giving you the payback from a couple of mishaps in the field on Sunday night. You got a few back tonight and then seemed to bat really well.
Yeah, had a tough day all round last game, but yeah, nice to get a little bit of luck out there and to hit the middle a couple of times. And with me and Finchy out there, we were able to sort of, I suppose, take the heat out of the game and I suppose set it up for the finish then.
Well, obviously a couple of games to go in Melbourne, but we're starting to see the team change, which we didn't see during the World Cup in the Emirates. So has it been spoken about that this has become a really important little period before the next World Cup, and what can we expect from selection and tactics?
I'm not sure what we're going to see with selection. Obviously it's out of my control, but I think with guys going to Pakistan as well, there's going to be guys going back to Sydney or back to their home states to be able to get a bit of home time before they're away for another long stint. So to allow them to have that time to refresh the batteries and get going again for Australia is really, really crucial. And I suppose for this team, there's going to be a whole squad mentality, just the way it was during the T20 World Cup. There could be injuries, there could be form that comes into it. So to have a squad of players that are playing well, performing and hitting the ground running once we hit, was it October, November time for the World Cup, is going to be really crucial for us.
Can you explain the thought process of Ashton Agar opening tonight?
I think we're obviously short a left-hander with David Warner not being in there at the moment. So he's a really clean striker, Ashton Agar. We felt like he was very unlucky, obviously, not to play much of a part during the World Cup, and he got his opportunity up there tonight, struck the ball really well. I'm not sure what the exact idea was behind it, but he looked really good.
And we're all learning about some of these new bowlers from Sri Lanka. What are the things that you've picked up now that you've seen them for a couple of games?
Yeah, well, they've got some really good skills. I know Chamira and Hasaranga, having played with them last year, but Teek Shana is really shown. He's opened the bowling for them, been able to, I suppose, get under our swing, bowl a couple of different variations.
Can you read him?
Yeah, you can pick him, but it doesn't matter if you pick him. You've still got to be able to play him. And the way the ball's reacting off the wicket, we saw with Benny McDermott, I thought he actually played the right line tonight with the ball. Just holds up enough and he gets the edge. But he didn't do a whole lot wrong, but it's just really good bowling. He's able to bowl really accurately. He got the ball under Aaron Finch's swing, which is not easy for a spinner to do. And I was really impressed by the way he bowled tonight.
So series sealed, but 2 games and at home for you as well. So what can we expect on Friday and Sunday in Melbourne?
Well, I think it's really crucial for us to try and keep our winning momentum and keep trying to play entertaining cricket. There's still a long build-up towards this World Cup, so every player is going to be trying to put their best foot forward. You're playing another game for Australia, you're always trying to go out there and give your best and try and win them, so we'll be doing exactly that. We've got a couple of days until the next game. We play Friday, Sunday, so hopefully we can get a couple of big crowds there. Big Sri Lankan contingent in Melbourne, so I'm sure they'll all come out and support their team.
And you've had a few days to chat among the boys as well. Of course, you were settled. You've had your future at RCB all sorted out, but what's the chat in the room among the lads when you go through the mega auction and you see a number of stories? I mean, Matty Wade getting a chance, Daniel Sams going back. There's all number of stories there. I wonder how the lads react to it.
Yeah, they were all pretty calm about it. It was obviously a nervous couple of days for them, and it was up pretty late. On day one, I think there was only 90 players out on day one, and they rushed through about 200 in the next day. So it was a nervous couple of days for the guys. I'm sure they were keen to get back to their phones after the second game in Sydney, and luckily enough, a few of our guys got picked up, and it's a wonderful experience the first time you go over there, and let alone these guys going for a second, third and fourth time being able to experience I suppose the IPL over there, and now with 2 extra teams it's going to be even bigger.
Well, of course, in national colours tonight, Glenn, always great to have a chat to you. Congratulations on sealing the series, your own performance, and let's hope that we get 2 entertaining games in Melbourne.
Let's hope so. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Good on you, Glenn. Glenn Maxwell, Clinty.
Thank you, Q. Great to hear from Glenn Maxwell after Australia's 6-wicket victory in the 3rd T20 from Canberra. So just a minute to go. Stu, what would you like to see from Australia for these last 2 where they can experiment a little bit? Turn your mic on. There we go.
I think Glenn Maxwell hit it on the head, mate. They've got momentum, they've got to keep building, and they're still building. There's a long time for the World Cup, so as much of those combinations and work they can get in now, it'll make it easier at the back end of the year when the World Cup comes along.
Is there one question you'd pose heading to these 2 T20s in Melbourne, Dirk?
I just wonder what type of side Australia are going to put out there. I'd like to see that they don't try too many things, don't try and get too cute, because I think there's an importance in trying to play a consistent group of players. So I'd like to see them settle down with these, subtle changes.
So Australia too good here in Canberra, winning by 6 wickets, chasing down Sri Lanka's total of 122 with plenty of balls to spare. Thanks for your company on Grandstand Cricket. We look forward to being joined by Dirk Nannes, Kristen Beams and Corbin Middlemass in Melbourne. We'll chat to you on Friday night.